This week's episode is brought to you by the legends over at Dog and Gun Coffee. And this week, I actually finally got my hands on some hog chockey. And I got to tell you, it lives up to the mythical beast standard. It is as good as what people say. I actually pour it in with my regular cup of coffee now. I've been mixing it in with my long blacks, and it's freaking amazing. It really is very delicious. And so if you're not a coffee drinker, but you would still like to support the podcast, you'd still like to support Dog and Gun Coffee and the amazing things that they're doing, the 1% conservation that they're sharing, and just the amazing things that they do for the hunting community, then of course you head across and check out their hog jockey. But there's also all of the coffee offerings that they have and plenty of other cool stuff. So head across and use the code Bowhunter. That's Bowhunter, all in caps locks, and that will get you $10 off of your very next order at Dog and Gun Coffee. This week's episode is also brought to you by the legends over at Cayuga Broadheads. I often get asked, which heads do I actually prefer? And I can't choose. I interchange between the Zots and the pilot cuts. I actually at times will even roll both of them in my quiver because I can shoot both and have no difference in my shot, which I think is pretty incredible and just a testament to the boys and what they have done right with their field point accuracy. And so I will quite often have 3 pilot cuts and 2 Zots or vice versa. But something that I do love about the Zots is how easy they are to sharpen. And funnily enough, for a long time, I didn't have the file that the boys recommend using. I was just trying to use whatever file I had at home. And it was making the sharpening hard. So I got my hands on, this is many years ago, I got my hands on the file that they actually recommended and tried sharpening the pilot cuts before the Zots were even out, and it made it so much damn easier. Who would have thought? Like, listen to the manufacturer and you'd get the results. And so I actually use the same system, the same file on the Zots, and then just use a strop, and that is all it needs to be able to make them razor sharp, like popping hairs, which is absolutely incredible. If you can get your hands on a paper wheel, then that's also an absolutely game changer for making your broadheads absolutely razor sharp, but you definitely do not need to. I've been able to do it. Popping hairs just with the straight file, the steel, and even the leather strop. I just use my belt, a leather strop. But yeah, I can't recommend the Cayuga Broadheads enough, and you guys can get 10% off of your next order when you use the code BAB10. That's BAB10. You can use caps locks for that, and that will get you 10% off of your next order at Cayuga Broadheads.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands. Searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting.
Legend, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Becoming a Bowhunter. Today, I'm joined by Jas Ritchie. We were on a hunt recently, me and my buddy Adam Barter, and Jas lived close by and said that he'd come across and see us whilst we were in town, so we were able to record this podcast. And we ended up having a good night of chewing the fat and drinking beers, and we were meant to be leaving at 5 a.m. or something the next morning. I think we went to bed at 1 or 2 or something like that in the morning. So great conversations we had, and the dude is an absolute legend. He really is a great guy. He's an animal with a bow. He's an animal with a fishing rod. He's just, he does the job and gets it done consistently. And he shares a lot of insights as to how he can continuously do that time after time after time, day after day, weekend after weekend. So you'll get a lot out of this. And Jas himself is actually he's been dealt some interesting hands in life, interesting cards in life, and the way that he handles it all is absolutely incredible. He's a very, very genuine bloke, very top bloke, and he's trying to do a lot to help out the community now. And so if you're not already following him, make sure you jump across and follow him on socials.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of Becoming a Bowhunter. Pretty excited. We've got Mr. Jas Ritchie in camp with us today. Welcome, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Very good to be here with you. And I've also got Adam Barter here with me.
G'day.
He's going to act as my co-host today because we've got a few questions for Jas in general. But we were in your general location. I was a bit bummed because I planned on that little podcast tour that I had. I wanted to come and fit you into the mix because it's all kind of in that same location where I was going to. And it just didn't work out with the number of days that we had for the bush buck stuff. And then I was meant to be getting Collie in there as well. Plus I had the trip with Liam. And then when Collie fell apart, it was just too late to be able to just dump it on you. Luckily, Dylan had actually already been messaging me. He's like, man, just come and stay at my place if you need anything. And so it all worked out, and here we are, not even a month later, and we've got it all happening. So it all happened the way it was meant to happen, I think, which is good.
Yeah, that's right.
But dude, thanks for coming on and out. And realistically, I've been watching your journey for a long time. You've been absolutely slaying boars and just critters in general, it seems, for a long time. How long have you been hunting for? What's your kind of background, and when did you get into it all?
Mate, I've been hunting like the majority of my life, pretty much my whole life, but the bow hunting sort of become serious to me in my teenage years.
Yep.
So probably like looking at maybe 10 or 15 years now.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty solid with the bow. The last sort of 10's been more serious.
Did someone kind of take you under your wing, or you just did it for shits and gigs yourself?
Me old man, so I grew up hunting and fishing with the old man. That's all we done religiously.
Yeah.
So every weekend we were either hunting or fishing. So
Yeah, good.
So as a young fella, I'd follow the old boy around with a bow, or with the dogs or rifles.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was of age that I could draw a bow, I started shooting a bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, chasing pigs around with him and goats and deer and stuff. And yeah, like as life went on, got a bit older, sort of started doing more by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Moved out of home and yeah.
Do you still hunt with him at all?
No, not as much as I'd like to. Like we live fair distance apart now.
Yeah.
But the old man, yeah, he still hunts. Like he's had like a heart attack and stuff now and a serious back injury. But yeah, he still gets around and still hunts.
Yeah, okay. Does it just a bit slower now, obviously?
Yeah, he's probably a bit slow on the feet, mate, but he still has
Still does it. I mean, I reckon that's friggin' the better quality of life, right? Like if you figure out, if something like that happens, it's like a reminder of getting back to the things that you love doing, like getting out in the outdoors, and then doing something like bow hunting. It's obviously such a good thing for your health in general. If you can keep doing it pretty consistently,
Yeah,
at least.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel like it's changed in the sense of the passion that you have for bow hunting throughout that time? Like 15 years is a long time to be pumped on something. What's it kind of what's the transition been like? Has it been like, I know, for instance, this is probably a better way to say it. For me, I'm still in the stage of I'm excited by every single animal that comes in. Are you still excited by every single animal? Or you're like, it's just a pig. It doesn't matter. Like until it's a big toothy boar or something like that.
Yeah, look, it does die down.
Mm-hmm.
The hunt in general, though, not so much the animal and the critter. The hunt, the spark's still there every time. And you know, if I spend 10 hours in the hills of a day and do 20 kilometres, that whole 10 hours and 20 kilometres, like I'm pumped.
Yeah,
like I'm just happy to be there.
Definitely.
Like
does something good for the mind, something
absolutely,
good for the
man. But when it
soul.
comes to the quality of the animal, obviously, unless it's something that really like an eye opener, definitely not as pumped.
Yeah.
But you know, when you see that proper shooter, whether it be a big billy or a big boar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's next level. I still get that just as much a buzz that you would, I'd reckon.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of interesting, right? Because obviously you can try to train your adrenaline as much as you want, but I think no matter what you do with it, you're still going to get an adrenaline dump when it comes to animals like that. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. You know what? We were sitting off this dam today, and we saw this echidna come in, and that was like, I was so excited by this echidna. I'm sitting there taking videos and stuff of this echidna, And then these pigs are coming in. Adam's like, pigs. I'm like, yeah, no, I see them, but I'm still filming the echidna. I'm like, trying to get footage of this echidna. Because I never see them at all. I've seen, I think in the last year, I saw one at Liam's place, but we're on the stalk in for a boar. And then I outside of that, I reckon I must have been 12 when I saw my last echidna. So I was like, so pumped. Right. I was like so stoked to see this echidna.
It was a bit of an answer to why all the ant mounds had the holes in them, because I was like, I figure it's echidnas, but we hadn't seen one, so that confirms that.
Yeah, definitely. And so these pigs came running right into us, and I drew back my bow. They were probably 5 meters from me. I drew back my bow, and my bow went like made just that little. I don't know. Like needs some.
Was it dragging on a stick?
I think no. It was actually just the arrow must have dragged on something. I don't know. Yeah. That was enough.
Does the rest have a bit of felt on it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Even sometimes when that felt gets a bit sticky or worn down, it'll leave a bit of a squeak.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they heard that and they were gone. They were out of there real quick. Just started to take off. Adam luckily got a shot at one. It was
the last one.
It was like that domino effect. The
they
first
did.
One
they
was
just
like,
peeled out. Yeah.
Second one was like, see ya. And then the last 3 were just there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But for you, Jason, in the sense of you were actually talking about billies before, and you were saying that the older the billies get, obviously, the more switched on they are. When you're hunting in a mob of goats in general, like when I shot my billy at Liam's, it was pretty tough because there was the mob, and that's what made the hunt tough. But are the billies themselves actually like very cluey? Like, how do you mean in the sense they're more switched on?
Oh, absolutely. So, generally, when you get onto the bigger billies, they've been around a long time. They're wise, and I've found that they like to hang out with big mobs of goats.
So they know that numbers are safety.
Yeah, numbers are safety, and when those bigger billies get dragged out of that rough country, they'll normally always go straight to a big mob, and they'll hang off them. Very rarely will you see a proper big fella by himself.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's just my perspective on it. Like
what you've seen.
Yeah. But them big fellas, like today, for instance, like I've been chasing the big bloke around for a long time. Now, not like my guess, he's well over 40.
Yep.
He like this afternoon, I was on him and his mob.
Yep.
And he's probably with a good 70 goats.
Yeah, wow.
And he beds down right at the back of the mob every time. And he doesn't shut his eyes. Like, you see some billies, they'll go to sleep at the back of the mob and they'll have another goat on the lookout for them. It seems that way. It always seems like there's a security guard in the mob.
Yeah, okay.
It lays down and it's just scanning.
Little mafia.
The sentry,
Yeah, that's right. But this bloke, like every encounter I've had with him, like he just does it all for himself.
No way.
And like I didn't get 100 yards on this bloke this afternoon, and he was locked on me.
Spotted.
Like he just locked. I just popped up over the ridge.
Yep.
I thought I had good cover on me, and he's just picked me out.
And does he spit at you or anything, or just sits there and looks at you?
No, he doesn't muck around. No, he was
up and gone. There you go.
Yeah, I found that with a lot of big billies that I've shot over the years. Like,
yeah,
they're not all. There's sometimes it can be a case you just walk up and you'll shoot one. Like,
yeah,
it just happens. But yeah, I reckon a lot of them they're a hard animal to hunt.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've always found goats to be somewhat reasonably easy. Like, they're obviously switched on. They see you, they start to spit at you, or they start to be like, there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that billy that I took down at Liam's place, the thing that made it hard was the fact that it was in the mob. So it makes sense that they would do that for safety. What other sort of characteristics do you see in a good billy? Like, obviously, they're big, but I mean, in the wits about them.
Like as in
like what else do they do? They're just so cluey in the sense of, you said they either have someone looking out for them or they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah, so I don't know. They just I don't know whether it's because they've been on the mountain for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got up this way, in particular, you've got aerial culls.
Yep.
You've got heavy mustering,
and
then you've also got a lot of recreational hunters. So everybody's out for these animals.
Yeah, yeah.
Billy reaches mature age up here and size. Like he's been on the mountain a long time and he's seen it all.
Yeah,
no doubt. Like to thinking that you'd come across a billy up here that hasn't encountered everything you can throw at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's never the case. Like these billies have seen it all. So
do you reckon there's a lot of hunting, like paid blocks out here too, isn't there?
There is.
I wonder like how genetically it gets passed through, like the evolution of these goats out here, if it's any different with how skittish they get.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
How old is a goat when he gets past 40? That's a bloody good question. That's a Doomister's question, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like 8+ kind of thing, right?
I believe they're a very old goat. Like they've always got really worn down teeth. You can see the bottom of their horns are always really worn down and chipped out.
Yeah. What's an old goat? Do you know that question either?
No.
No, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure someone will tell us.
Yeah,
They'll fill us in. And then, so I mean, yeah, because I always thought goats were easy, but they're not necessarily easy because they are always together.
That's
like
right,
a solo goat is a pretty easy target, but usually once they're mobbed up, like there's that many eyes, you try and stalk in on a big mob of eyes. That always makes it very tough. And you're talking about 70 eyes. Like that's a lot.
And that's exactly it. Like I do believe that if you could get one of these big fellas by themselves, and which I have in the past, they are an easy picking. Like it's one set of eyes, one set of nostrils.
Yeah, good point.
Everything in your favour, you've got him done. But when you're talking big mobs of 70+, or even 30+, like that's a lot of set of eyes. Like,
Yeah, every time you go to take a step, someone's bound to be having head up sort of style. Yeah,
that's right. Like you think of it, like if there was 30 of us standing on the hill looking around.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to see a lot.
I couldn't imagine anything sneaking up on us.
No. It's like the kangaroos, right? They spot you from
That's right,
ages
mate.
away.
Yeah.
It's
Self-preservation.
But what's interesting, so a lot of people talk about the elusive mountain boar, but it seems that you have a lot of elusive mountain boars that you kind of get down quite a lot. Do you reckon that's a numbers game, or do you reckon that's just... Oh, it's a mixture of both, right? You're out in the bush a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, mate. So I sort of get in the hills as often as I can. I do believe it comes down to opportunity. So
definitely creating opportunity.
And I will say that the opportunities up here, like majority of the time in the cooler months, there's always opportunity.
And do they disappear during the summer?
Not so much disappear. They do get that nocturnal routine about them where they sort of phase out through the day. Like you won't see them much, and they sort of do everything of a night.
Yeah.
And if you in the summer months, unless you can find that water that they're going to, that's sort of you might have half an hour in the morning. Half an hour to an hour in the morning, half an hour to an hour in the afternoon. Yeah, you'll get an opportunity at a good pig. But yeah, for the most part, summer's sort of, put the boat down, pick the fishing rod up.
Enjoy the water side instead.
Yeah.
So something that we saw quite a lot of here, and I think it's purely because this is a paid hunting block, they get slammed a lot. There's also been the helicopter shoot next door before we got out here. There really wasn't many numbers of pigs on the flats at all. They pretty much stuck to the hills, stuck to like the bushes, stuck to where it's really thick. Is that pretty common for here in general, or do you think that's just a paid block sort of situation?
Yeah, I'd put that down to pressure.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year, mate. Like this time of year,
They've been copying it all winter.
Yeah, that's right, mate. Like, and the aerial, some of the country I hunt, it gets the chopper over it twice a year.
Yep.
And once that chopper goes over, the hunting's gone for a while. Like the good hunting.
They just completely quiet
Everything
down.
just gets back in that thick stuff. They won't come too far from cover. Like it just really shuts the show down with them. But yeah, I'd put that down to the pressure. Like you've just had a chopper in, a couple of days ago, and then it's a paid block. So
there's people here every weekend.
That's right. There's someone here every weekend.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was saying to Adam as well. Like, I'm pretty certain that's what the deal is. But it's interesting to hear New South Wales essentially got plague proportion of pigs, and we're walking through like the thicker stuff and still not. We're seeing sign and we're seeing a few pigs, but we didn't even see 50 pigs on a 12,000 acre block this weekend. And I'm like, surely there's got to be more here. But I think we looked at the topo of the map, and essentially there's like this massive long snake of forestry, not forestry, but like
wildlife corridor.
Exactly, where they can just hammer through. And I think that's the case. They just kind of push back,
hide out, and come out after dark.
Yeah. You're in it like this place is. It's in a good spot. But I'd say it really just comes down to pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
Like places that aren't pressured as much, you notice a difference straight away. Like for instance, like I just done an afternoon and a day, like yesterday and today, on 1,600 acres.
Yep.
And, you know, we shot 6 boars and
Yeah, that's crazy.
a couple of billy goats and
Yep.
whatnot. And that's, you know, it's only 1,600 acres.
Yeah, yeah.
But it just doesn't get any pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
There's a lot of
Just out.
water.
There's actually quite a lot of damage in this little place. But other than the farmer putting around shooting the odd couple when he sees them,
Yep.
like it's literally got me on there bow hunting. There's a bloke that's renting the house on the place.
Yep.
He gets out with his dog every now and again,
Okay.
but not enough to stir him right up.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, like I don't really share any country with anyone else. Like,
Yep.
it's very limited. Like there's one place it's got just recently got the thermal imaging has sort of come into play there. Got blokes that come up for weekends and they'll go out all night with the thermal.
Yep.
And they've been doing really well. And I've noticed
course.
that. Yeah, and I've noticed
There's
a
no
difference
escape.
Yeah.
on that place. So there's been a big difference.
Yeah.
We've
Okay.
Gone from like, and it's a larger place. It's 8,000 acres.
Yep.
And we went from seeing like, without lying, like up to 200, 300 pigs a day in the middle of winter.
That's crazy.
And since these blokes have been in with thermals, it's, you know, it's knocked right back to less than half of that you'll see now. So
Yeah. Wow.
And that's obviously a combination of body count and then changing their habits because they know they're getting punished.
that's right. Yeah, they
Yeah.
switch on. But yeah, the first trip they done up there, like I think they shot well over 100
Wow.
for a couple of nights just walking around with thermal imaging.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and I'd believe that too because
Oh,
I would
I
too.
was up there not long after that. It would have been a bit over a week after that, and yeah, there
There's
was
carcasses everywhere. Yeah.
carnage. Yeah, it was pure carnage. Like
Yeah.
Stench.
it looked like the chopper had come through. So
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
Because they don't know where to run. You've seen the videos online and all that, you know. They
Thermals.
pop one and the pigs just don't know which direction to run.
All they do run, they've just got them on thermal. They just pop, pop,
Yeah,
pop.
just keep working on the outside.
Yeah, and the thing is with most of these thermal shooters, if they're contractors like this bunch were, they've got all licensed suppressors on the end of their rifles now.
Oh,
So
Yeah, wow.
there you go.
minimal noise, no light.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've been out with a mate. He shoots roos for a living.
Yep.
He's a professional harvester and he runs all the thermal gear. He's got licensed suppressors on the end of his rifles, and like I've seen him shoot mobs of pigs out, like the whole mob, just shoot them out.
No way.
Yeah.
Yep, from sitting in like the driver's side of his ute, just bang, 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 bang. So
And that's just for a bit of fun while he's out getting some meat.
no,
For the-
all the pigs go into the chiller as well.
Oh, got you. You were doing chillers at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, with the dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. And tell us about that. I remember you telling me a bit more about it, about like the pricing and stuff of it, and the you pretty much have to check your vitals, leave your vitals out.
Yep.
And was it you that was telling me about the pricing? That sometimes you'd get them there and they wouldn't take the pig.
No, I don't recall that conversation, but yeah. What was that with the weight or?
Yeah, essentially they would get some pigs in. They'd be like, "Yeah, no, we're not taking that one because of the weight or because of the shape, like the shape of the pig. Essentially, not the shape of the pig, but like the how it was presented or whatever."
Yeah, so like there's protocol to stick by with
Yeah.
the chillers. Like you know, there's the weight's a big one. So generally it'd be, 26 kilos up. Like a lot of the time, and a lot of the chillers nowadays, they'll take a pig at 100 kilos max.
100 kilos max. Yeah. Wow.
So like if you get a bigger fella than 100, you'd like nowadays you've got to cut a heap of fat out of the inside of their stomach. So like
So that's 100 kilos once it's gutted though.
yeah, chiller dress. So like that's
Yeah,
good.
gotcha.
His vitals are still there. His
Which
organs.
vitals?
So you leave in the kidneys,
Yep.
the liver, the lungs, and the heart.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah,
that's
wow.
just so they can test it.
How many kilos do you reckon that'd be? Probably 10 on a big one? Bit more?
The vitals, like the
Yeah.
organs.
Yep.
No, I wouldn't say that. I don't reckon it'd be 10 kilo, no.
Yeah, okay. So then
I
you're
think
looking at
it's-
90 kilos of actual just solid meat.
It'd only be a couple of kilos, to be honest with you.
Yeah, wow.
The organs of a pig.
Yep.
The stomach's, there's a fair bit of weight in the stomach. Like you
Yeah.
can get up to 10 kilos of stomach out of a pig,
Yep.
I'd reckon.
Yeah, wow. That's a hefty actual pig then. Like that would have to be what? 140 kilo sort of pig before you've dressed it.
For 100 dress?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think if you get a pig around that 112.
It pretty much guts it. Because I was thinking about the blood and everything else once it's all lost. But yeah.
Oh yeah, if you're going to include your blood in that, like
Yeah.
all your bodily fluids, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, wow. And so why? Just because of they're worried about like parasites or something like that once they're older, or what?
No, so what I think it just comes down to, so there was one of the companies I was boxing pigs to a couple of years ago. That it come down to the fellas that were driving the trucks, that were picking up the pigs and roos from the chiller. Like they were just complaining about the sheer weight of them. So
so it's a manual handling thing.
it's manual handling out of the chiller
right, that
into the
makes
chiller
sense.
truck most of the time, and they just said, look, we don't want to be moving them; they're too big.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
they just said, 100 kilos, and then, like some companies, they believe that once they get over 100 kilos, they'll go green quicker.
Mm.
So like you get a condemned.
Go green quicker.
Yeah, so like the meat will go green, it'll go off
Yeah, gotcha.
between the time that you cull the animal and when you get it in that cool room,
Yeah, okay.
which is it's fairly common to get a condemned pig from going green.
Yeah, wow.
Like if you can't get that meat, especially in the warmer months, if you can't get that meat cool enough, quick enough,
Yeah.
it'll go off before it hits chiller. That's for sure.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Just that sheer muscle mass holding the heat and all.
Yeah, and some of them are just so fat, man. Like you got some pigs out and they've got like
Layers.
where you run your knife down their gut line, like there'll be inches of fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So like it's hard to get the heat out of that meat.
That's when they're off the crops,
I was
right?
going to say this is cropping country, right? Where you
Yeah,
can
that's
shoot them off
generally
of.
at Western crops where you'll see them fat like that.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, like it,
Because they're bloody lean around here.
Yeah. Even then they still had a bit to them.
Yeah, but not a layer.
No, not a layer of fat like that.
Like
No.
they're
and it's
not on the
dry times
oats
at the
or
moment.
anything.
Like,
Yeah.
you got to be on the crops to get them big and fat like that.
Yeah, definitely. And so was that all consumption for Europe? Do you know? Where were they getting sent?
Yeah, all human consumption.
But Europe or...
Mainly Europe, yeah, as far as I'm aware. I sort
Yeah.
of didn't read into that too much, but I'm pretty sure most of it goes to Europe, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I wonder what they're paying a kilo over there.
Dude, it'd be pretty crazy. You know what's insane is like going through Europe, going through Spain and stuff like that, like it's everywhere. They've got pig everywhere. And to think that that's probably all just
As
come
wild, labelled as wild boar? Or?
No, they just sell it for everything. Like
Yeah, right.
Pig is it's like they'll age a leg, and I think in Spain in particular, it's shown as like a sign of like currency in a sense. Like we're well off because we've got this leg of ham, and so they'd shave the ham and give you ham wherever you go, sort of thing.
Well, you know where the term "chew the fat" comes from.
It's all from that system, isn't it?
No, yeah. So back in the early days, they'd have a ham hanging up, and when
Yeah.
you went to visit someone, they'd cut a big slice off,
Yep.
and you just sit there and chew on it. So
Have a
that's
good
interesting that you
conversation.
say that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of carried on in Spain in particular.
Yeah, it's still a tradition.
And they've got different colours of leg, and essentially it's like whatever the curing that they've gone through. So I think like blue, red, and green and black is like the best of the best, essentially. So if you've got a black leg hanging in your kitchen, you're like
Yeah,
apparently incredibly wealthy or whatever. It's bizarre, right? It's like in Malaysia.
I like that currency.
Yeah, exactly. In Malaysia, it's like they don't like to be dark skinned. So if you're a pale Malaysian, you're seen to be wealthier because you've
That's the
not
same
been-
in the Philippines,
You've
dude.
not been outside.
Yeah, you haven't
working
been out
hard and
toiling.
doing
You're
whatever
not
else.
poor because you're working in the field.
Yeah, pretty
But they
odd.
have. You go to the Philippines and if you buy a bar of soap, it's all got whitening in it. You can't find one without it. Yeah, yeah.
Good way to bleach you.
Yep.
Bleach yourself.
No, Matty, I don't have any of that soap, mate. Don't look at me.
I'm sure you do. You're pretty ghostly. So, say you were to come across... Actually, let's talk about your buck block you were telling us about before, the fallow block. So you've got pretty much boys all year round apart from during the rut. Is that right?
That's
all year
correct.
round?
Yeah, so, I don't have good deer country at all. If you couldn't tell, like I don't shoot too many.
Yep.
I get enough to sort of keep the freezer full.
Yep.
But yeah, this time of year, like you can go out and you can target a buck.
Yep.
Like we shot one a couple of weeks ago, and shot one a couple of weeks before that. But for the most part, like especially in the rut, like they're nowhere to be seen. And I think it comes down to what we spoke about before.
Just
Like,
not having the girls there as
yeah,
well.
there's not many girls there. So like if you do see deer there, it's normally batch mobs of bucks.
What we were trying to figure out, though, is like, because obviously the girls stay where they're born, and then we thought that maybe the boys go back to where they're born, but then that doesn't really make sense because it's inbred as such. But then I don't know how it all works. I don't know how it works for fallow in particular.
Yeah, mate, I've got no idea.
It'd be interesting to kind of track them. I saw a video not so long ago. I chucked up on my story. It was over in America. They tracked a whole heap of whitetail, and you'd see the traveling ranges that they'd do. Yep. And they did one just for during the rut, or just during their rut season, essentially. And they travelled from so far to so far, and then when so in the one place, they just stayed in the one place, jumped like within a kilometre range, pretty much literally just back and forth. They didn't do too much like zigzagging stuff around. Just like, this is my block, I'm just going to pace it. And then that was it. But it'd be awesome to see out here. And actually when I put that up, apparently there is ones out here in the sense of the tracking collars. And every once in a while you see someone who shoots a pig with a tracking collar. They might put up a picture or something. And the tracking collars have a name on them and a number on them that you're meant to call to give back the tracking collar. One guy called up and sent me a message, and he was like, I called up and they were angry at me for shooting the pig. And he's like, well, they're a pest, so I'm going to get rid of them. They're like, yeah, but now we need to find a new pig to get a collar on. Like, they have to redo the system.
Sounds like their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember Collie shot a
cracker one.
Ball. Yeah, like that collar must have been on that pig for a long time, because I couldn't imagine they would have got a collar on a big ball like that too easy.
Definitely.
Like, he was a howler, so I'd say.
I wonder how that works, right? Do they tranquilise them and?
I don't know, mate. Yeah, it was funny that. Like, I don't know whether that collar had been put on that pig, like, well and truly years prior, because it was a big mature ball, like, right? Or they've put it on a big ball purposely. Yeah. To track what a big ball does. Yeah. To see what it does. But yeah, I don't know. That was a funny one. But yeah, I wouldn't have passed that pig up, that's for sure.
No, definitely.
Collar or no collar.
I wonder if Collie ever, if he'd had any numbers or anything like that on it, he just buried it in a lake somewhere.
Don't know, mate. He probably would have done what I done, just cut it off and chucked it away.
Yeah.
But
have you done that before? You've seen collared pigs?
No, mate. I've never seen a collared pig at all.
Yeah.
No, not in all the thousands and I've seen.
I think they did that with the donkeys up north. They made a Judas donkey and they put the collar on it, let it go, because the donkey will go and find the other donkeys, and then they just fly over, shoot all the donkeys, bar the one with the collar, and then he keeps tripping around and finding new donkeys, and they just keep slaying them until he's the last one standing.
Yeah, good way to do the aerial shooting.
They were doing that for a long time up this way on goats.
Yeah.
Especially further sort of west, over on the Caputar range.
Yeah.
Many years ago, Mount Caputar, it was plague proportion with goats, and they'd run collars on goats.
Yep.
And then they'd get the chopper up, find the mobs, and shoot them out.
Yeah, far out. So, in regards to the goats, because they went pretty extreme at one point where no one would let you shoot them because they were worth so much. And what were they fetching? Like $11 or $13 a kilo?
It was something stupid, yeah. So, like, there was a big period of time where none of us could shoot a goat.
Yeah.
That's on the hoof too. That's not.
That's live weight. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, there was crazy money.
Money for jam, just muster them up and send them off.
And now it's
meatworks.
It's dropped right back down, right?
It's like it's only been $5
or something like that.
Yeah, it's recent times where we can start to shoot a goat again because they're not worth enough to chase around.
It's just too much effort for the farmer to actually put in to get
and
them
to muster them up. Like it might seem like it might be easy, but it's actually quite hard. Like,
pretty extreme.
I was working on
rough country
last year, and we used to get together and do a bit of mustering with the goats, and then we'd split the profit between all the workers and the manager.
Yep.
And that was a gig we had going with the owner, and he didn't mind that. That was just, that was pocket money.
Yep.
But there's a lot of work in it. Like, you need a good team of dogs.
Yeah, okay.
Then you need a couple of good blokes on bikes and
any horses to get them out of the tops or.
Oh, mate, I'd say a lot of people would use horses. We were using bikes and dogs, but there's plenty of times where I've seen the big mobs of goats just get away on even the best dogs.
Yeah, wow.
Like, cool.
Once they get in a big mob and they're hell bent on going one way, you won't stop them.
They just charge them.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Like, they'll just keep going, and once you lose half the mob, like, they'll,
the spurs are rest on. Yeah,
it does, mate. They just start going everywhere.
Apparently, there was a heap of dudes that were just setting up like a cage trailer and they'd just have a big drop down tailgate essentially, and they would pull up next to a fence and run just I don't know, like a bit of mesh down the side of the fence and use it just as a run to get the goats up. So they'd have a good team of dogs, go out, get like 20 goats on this little mesh like trailer that they had rolling, and they'd go sell them, come back and do the same thing and just do it on repeat. They were making so much money that it was worthwhile for them. But it all just quickly, it's funny to see how quickly a trade can go like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, wasn't it all like Middle Eastern export?
I think so.
Predominantly.
It's the most eaten meat in the world. Goat meat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, over beef. It's
Oh yeah, so I guess
chicken.
if you think of like Africa,
well, you just think
'cause
about
the
the
turnaround
population
on
they have in India alone,
oh yeah, goat curry's huge because they're not going to eat the beef.
and all halal meat. Like, yeah, they don't eat pork or anything like that over there.
Oh, don't they?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I know they don't touch cows
I don't
because
think they're
beef's
allowed
sacred.
to, are they?
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think it's all part of the religion.
Yeah, like they do. The pigs are like a god or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting stuff. I was getting there eventually, but in regards to if you were in the field and you saw a buck or a boar, they were both good. What would
Here
you
we go.
choose?
He's a hypothetical.
What would you choose?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, mate. I go with the bread and butter, the boar.
The boar? Yeah.
Every time.
There you
Especially
go.
if you're a shooter, mate. I just can't get enough of them.
What if it was the biggest buck that you could possibly get? You'd still go to boar?
Like Hungarian bred pig.
Yeah, exactly. Big old paddles.
Yeah, Razorback.
Boar.
Yeah.
I'd have to take the buck.
Yeah.
Only because
Not gone there yet.
Yeah, that's right. Like,
Yeah.
if you was something like stupidly big, without a doubt. But if it's just the average run of the mill buck, then the boar's definitely going to get the pig.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Even though it's been the thing you've gone for your whole life, it's still the thing that keeps you going.
Absolutely. Like, my whole life's been based around pig hunting. Like,
Yep.
from as early as I could sit in the car seat, I was with the old man with dogs.
Yep.
As soon as I could walk properly, I was with the bow and dogs. That's all I've ever hunted, and the flame to hunt them animals is still as strong as it ever was.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, I reckon I'll be chasing them around until I can't no more. So
You know what's funny is, like, until I kind of went down to Randy's block and saw what they kind of have to offer, because in regards to just pigs in general, like, I never really hunted them that much. And so once I went down there, I'm like, this is actually a lot of fun. Like, kind of really opened my eyes. I got that monster boar. I'm like, this is great. Like, yeah, I understand it now. I understand the addiction for it in a sense. And then before we'd even done that trip, we came here. And I was like, oh, it's just a pig's. Like, oh, it's all right, but it's not that great. And coming down this time, like, yeah, we're going pig hunting. Like, so good.
Yeah.
Like, cheering for it. Yeah. It's funny how it is. It's just like a bit of an addiction once you got the taste.
sometimes it takes that one proper,
Big
shoot
one
that
or
first
something.
proper one
Yep,
to get that fire for it.
definitely.
But yeah, like I've seen it with people before. They're not that excited, and as soon as they shoot their first proper one, that's it.
Yeah.
Can't stop
I
it.
can confirm that because that's exactly what happened to me. We came down here and it was still, I think it was probably one of my funnest hunts the last time we came back here. Came here the first time because it was just saying there was like more opportunities and like I'd tried pig hunting so many times as a young fella. I'd go with my brother's first girlfriend's dad out at Ningen, but we just never saw any. Like they were so elusive, never got them. So it was kind of like so many pig hunts I've been on and just never connected. And then we came here and it all just fell together. And I got to see you stalking and kill those two from up on the hill. And then I tried to get a couple of squirters with the bow sneaking out. And then I put an arrow in one and then we all got another couple each. And it was just like in a couple of days, it was so much action.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. But I wouldn't say it left a awesome like me going, I can't wait to pig hunt next. Like it's always the deer or something that it's a bit more better on the plate. And then when I went to NT, I got that was my first
Big
boar
boar.
with hooks. He's not that big, but he's got hooks, and I'm like, oh yeah, now that's that was pretty cool, and I definitely want to best him, so that sort of
Definitely.
spurs me on to chase something a bit toothier.
Do you do much in the sense of like measuring any of your boars that you get?
Oh, mate, I have tried to score a few, just
Yeah.
unofficially, of course. Like,
Yeah. Just
Um,
run the tape over it.
yeah, but there's probably, like, for the most part, most of the better pigs, I haven't never even bothered scoring them.
Yeah. Do you do anything with them? Like you keep the teeth? You
Occasionally, there was a stage in life where I kept nearly everything.
Everything. Yep.
But then, eventually reality kicked in that they just sit on top of the garden shed at the back and nothing gets done with them.
And your missus says, get rid of them fangs.
Yeah, and they just get out there and they stink, and then eventually they fade away and get brittle and crack.
Yeah.
So now, to be completely honest with you, I haven't kept a set of pig tusks or anything for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
What about today's one, Jace?
No, he's still on the ground out there, mate.
Yeah,
Go grab him.
No second prizes.
No, I left him in the paddock. It's just... I just know myself too well. Like,
definitely.
I've said 1,000 times I need to start, I need to do something with them. But then in saying that, like, how many can you keep?
Exactly. And I'm starting to get to that point. Like, every time I do it, my next Euro, I'm like, fuck, it's just so time consuming.
That's right, man. And how many euros can you put
exactly.
in your fucking lounge room?
My top shelf is full already, so I'm like, now what? Like,
maybe when you get a bigger one, you just piff the old one.
I was going to say, unless it's a really big one, like, it's going to have to be something really impressive for me to start keeping them, doing Euros and whatever. Yeah.
No, I've always said that I've shot a lot of big boars, a lot of big toothy boars, but I'm still at that stage where I don't think that I've hit that 30 points.
Yeah, righto.
Score. Like, there'd be a couple in there that'd be right on there, I reckon, and very close. And like, it's hard to say unless you pull them out to sea, because
because they can pull so much.
They can pull so well. Like, I shot a boar quite a few years ago now. He was as old as the hills. He was like 40 kilo. He'd been on the mountain, a lot of winners, and his hooks were extremely thick, and they were quite long. And I never pulled them to see what they were. And I think if anything was ever going to touch 30 points, that definitely would have been him.
Yeah.
But,
How big was he, you reckon? Like, kilo-wise?
Like 45 kilo.
Oh, right.
Much like the boar that I shot. So that was going to lead me to the next question. A lot of the pigs that we've seen this weekend have actually been pretty big-bodied. Like, I don't know, they're just like a tall pig, a big pig. Is that pretty common for this sort of area in general? Like, are most of the boars you're hitting pretty big, or are they kind of that 40, 50 kilo mark?
Oh, it depends whereabouts you are. Like, I've found in the bigger, steeper stuff, they get pretty heavy. And then, I guess out this side, generally, they're pretty handy pigs.
Yeah.
If you do get them. But then, like, in saying that too, like, if they're going backwards, like, they're an older pig, they strip that weight quick.
Exactly,
Like the pig I was just talking about before, like, he had huge feet. He had a huge head, like a big frame, but he would have been 45 kilo. Like,
so crazy.
Yeah, right.
He'd just been around for a long time, and he
probably riddled with parasites too.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, like I was convinced that I definitely took him out at a good time. I don't think he would have lasted too much longer.
Yeah.
And then, but for the most part, I think they're mostly pretty big and solid pigs. Yeah.
So a few years ago, you picked yourself up a stick bow. Why? What was the drive for that?
It was sort of coming off like a 10 to 12 month sort of complete stop in hunting. So like, it was 10 or 12 months there where I just didn't bow hunt at all. I just said I had enough. I need a break.
Yep.
And coming out of that and coming back into the hunting, I thought, where do I want to go with it? And I thought, I want to take it to another level. Like, I want to try something new. So I just jumped online and brought a Fred Bear $600 stick bow.
Yep.
It was like a 55-pound job. And it turned up to home, started shooting it, got to a point where I was shooting well, and then started hunting with it.
Yep.
And it just happened for me. Like, it just, from the first hunt onwards, like, it just happened. Like, I was just shooting good stuff with it.
Yeah, got you.
And regularly. And then, got to another point where, like, that 55 pounds wasn't enough. So, I spent a bit more money and got a Black Widow.
I mean, you just weren't getting the penetration that you wanted.
Yeah, so there was... I killed a lot of big animals with that 55-pound bow. But then I lost a lot of big animals too.
Yeah, got you.
Like, I hit one big boar one day with that 55-pound stick bow, and I watched the arrow literally bounce off its shoulder pad.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was like a 30-yard shot, so I would have lost a lot of velocity by then.
Yep.
Yeah, the little stick, but yeah, I watched it pretty well bounce off the pig, and that's when I was like, I need a heavier bow. So I got the Widow, and then you couldn't stop that thing. It was a really good bow.
Yep. And would you take 30-yard shots often? Like, is that a pretty consistent shot?
Not often at all, mate. Like, to be completely honest, nearly all the shots were like 15 and under.
Yep. Yep.
And then occasionally you'd stretch one out 20 and 30.
Yep.
but yeah, never over 30. That's for sure.
Are you instinctive or gap?
Instinctive.
Yeah,
Purely
nice.
like I have. Yeah.
You said you were kind of snap shooting a fair bit too.
Yeah. So like I didn't have a solid anchor whatsoever with the stick.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I used
Drawn
to just,
back, go.
Yeah, man. Like I'd pick the spot on that animal that I wanted. I'd just pretty
Just
well
like
burn
throwing a baseball.
Yeah, man. It was just like exactly like
Yeah.
throwing a tennis ball at the wall.
Yeah.
And eventually you do it enough, you hit the same spot.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
But I'd just I'd pick the spot on the animal that I wanted to hit, and I'd sort of burn a hole right through that spot with my eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just all just happened,
Mm-hmm.
I'd pull back and release, and
Yeah,
arrow would
definitely.
find its mark.
And how much like training did you put in? You try to pick your bow up and shoot it every day, kind of thing. And
So yeah, when I was shooting the stick full time, I found that if I didn't shoot every day, that I'd fall apart. Like if I had if I had a weekend with the kids and I just didn't have time to hunt or even to practice,
Yep.
when I'd pick the bow back up on Monday, it'd be nearly back to square one.
I found that a lot when I was using my recurve. Like
Yep.
if I missed a few days, and this is shooting, I don't know, 15 meters, not even, and it was the same thing. Like I'd have to start again at 8 meters or something like that. Like start real close and build it up and go for it, and then
Absolutely, man. Like it's crazy how quick you lose it with the stick.
yeah.
And then some people are just complete naturals with the stick. Like I've got two mates. We've got a mutual mate, like Jack Creek. Like
Yep.
He's a complete natural with a stick.
Mm.
Like I had a hunt with Jack a few weeks ago now, maybe a month ago.
Yep.
He brought the stick up, and he hadn't hunted with the stick in months, and he come up and, long story short, like we didn't do too well that day. Like we didn't see much.
Yep.
But, like at lunchtime, we mucked around on the target, the ute, and like he was just laying tight shots down at like 40 yards.
It's so crazy.
Just arrow after arrow.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
awesome.
Leave you speechless how good he shoots a stick.
Yeah.
And then another buddy of mine, Chris, he's a freak on the stick. Like he does the 3D stuff and,
Yeah.
he wins events all the time. He's an absolute freak on the stick. Like the shots he does with it's insane.
There's,
What are those lads shooting? Do you know?
Bow-wise,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what Jack was shooting. Jack's got Jack was shooting a stalker
Oh, so
at the
awesome.
time, and Chris was shooting what was he shooting? I don't know. It was like an
Recurve, but
yeah, it
oh,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was a put together thing, carbon, all carbon,
Yeah,
wasn't
yep.
limbed.
Do you know Ash Brown at all? You
I
seen
know
his
of him,
stuff?
mate. Yeah, I got him on Instagram there. Yep.
He's apparently an absolute weapon like that.
I've been following him for a long time, and I reckon I could say that too.
Oh yeah, like the amount of pigs he puts down is crazy.
I know,
He
and
hunts
like-
every day of the year. Like
That's
he's-
right, and you just see like some of his stories, like just shot this at 60 yards. Like,
Dude, yeah. So
That's
Benny
fucking
Fenson
epic.
was out with him. And
That's awesome.
Benny's like, man, I did not see this guy miss. Like, I didn't see him miss the whole time. And so he's like, I tested him. He's like, I put him under the peer pressure just to see what he would do. And he said this pig was, probably like out 50, 60 yards. He's like, go on, give it a shot. Like, you can do it. He's like, oh, yeah, all right. Boof. Big old shot. Pins it. Like, pinwheels this pig. He's like,
That's rapid.
better shot than what Benny reckoned he could have done at 20. Like, he's just an absolute freak with it.
yeah, you see his stories, man, and he's a fucking slayer.
Yeah.
Like he just kills shit. He gets it done.
I'm excited. We're planning to do a podcast. We'll make it happen someday. But yeah.
Yeah, I see him and Spinks here doing like a few big weekends now. Like
Yeah.
getting blokes
Getting
camp
blokes
and that.
together, yeah.
that'd be probably pretty good if you could line something like that.
Definitely. He's I think because they were the ones that hosted Joel Turner when they went out hunting all together.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think they got a fair bit of stuff from him as well in regards to like using the stick bows a bit.
Yeah.
You and Jack talked quite a lot about arrow weights and played around with a few different things for what was kind of like the sweet spot for you guys. You were testing a fair bit, weren't you, for your recurves versus?
Yeah.
What did you kind of find?
I come up with about 540
Yeah, okay.
total arrow weight.
Out of your 70 pound.
Yep.
Yeah.
So out of the Black Widow at 70 pound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 540. So it was a bit like I started off heavier,
Yep.
and that it worked, but I found that a faster arrow is better. So like that,
Getting like no difference in penetration.
I didn't notice anything. No,
Yeah.
Give you a flatter trajectory, that's for sure.
it does. Yeah,
More forgiving in general. Yeah.
especially especially the style that I was shooting, which is it's pretty well a snapshot that I take.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
Like I didn't Yeah, I need that flatter trajectory. Like
those longer
especially if I was
shots can
gonna
drop.
shoot a
Yeah.
touch over 20 yards. Otherwise, the arrow's got too much sort of lob in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 540 grain total arrow weight was what worked for me.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure Jack sort of come up with the same sort of
Same sort of
results. Yeah.
And so last year you pretty much spent most of the year with the stick bow, didn't you? You used it pretty much all year round. And then what happened this year? Picked it back up, and what went wrong?
Oh, so it was pretty much all year. I used a stick last year.
Yep.
And was doing really well on it. And then I sort of hit a plateau mode with it.
Yep.
Just got a bit over, and I was like, I'm going to go back to the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, got another wheelie bow and jumped back on it for a bit, and then done the rest of the year with it.
Did you sell your compound before you got the recurves, or you just shelved it?
Yeah, no, I did actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got rid of the
nice.
compound.
Fully committed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and when I was shooting the stick, I had nothing but the stick.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
and then that's exactly
It's
how.
a good way to commit, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of people will say that if you're going to shoot
Yeah.
a stick bow, you have nothing but that stick bow.
Definitely.
Otherwise, it's too easy to fall back on a compound.
Yep.
And I reckon I would have fell back on the compound, especially in a deer scenario. Like trying to chase deer with the stick bow, I couldn't put it together. Like,
It's next level.
yeah, shooting billy goats and boars is one thing, but then you try and shoot deer with a stick, and I think it's a talent of its own. Like,
Yeah.
I had last year, I reckon I shot at 10 deer and I missed every single one of them. A lot of it was like they jumped the string, or I just couldn't keep my shit together on them.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? You change the object that you're shooting with, and how much more it can transition how you feel about that situation, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I will shoot a deer with my bow very comfortably.
Yeah.
I picked a gun up and shot a hind, and I was like shaking like a leaf. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, adrenaline just dumped through me. I'm like, how bizarre is that for something that I honestly see as an easier method, but at the same time it gave me that response. It's just so bizarre.
That's that time on the tool.
Definitely
Getting confidence. Yeah.
with your tools. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, what happened with the bow? With the
Yeah. What are you shooting now?
the stick?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, with the stick bow, because you said that you picked it up, you came back to the wheels.
So I went back to the wheels and finished the last 2 months of the year off on compound, and then the start of this year I wasn't hunting at all. I was just fishing a lot.
Yep.
The warm months of the year is typically what we do up here in the hills. We sort of back off with the hunting.
Yep.
So yeah, I was just chasing fish a lot, and then when it sort of started getting a bit closer, like I think it was sort of towards the end of the rut, for anyone that hunted it, like that was sort of when I picked the bow back up, starting to cool down a bit, and I jumped back on the stick, and yeah, first outing with the stick, I done alright. I think I shot 3 pigs for the afternoon.
Yep.
Got a pretty handy ball, and then I probably carried the stick around for about a month after that, and I just kept falling apart with it. Like I just couldn't keep my shit together.
Target panics, you reckon?
Yeah, and I'd shoot well at home, and then I'd hit the hills, and I just couldn't pull anything together with it.
It's interesting.
I just felt like I'd lost it. I just had too much time off it,
Yep.
and just wasn't comfortable anymore. So yeah, I went back to compound.
And so, what did you get for the compound this time around?
What have I got at the moment?
Yeah, what bow?
Matthews V3.
Yep. Like it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
What did you have before?
as in compound wise.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had a few in between. So I was shooting a new breed archery bow.
Yep.
Which is probably something that not a lot of people have heard of. It was a sort of blow in, blow out company.
Yeah, okay.
They produced a few bows, and then they sort of just went offline. That was the end of them.
Yeah, well.
I shot it a fair bit at the start of this winter. It was a nice bow. And then before that, I had the Hoyt Ventum.
Yeah, okay. What's been your favourite of the lot?
I'd have to say these new Matthews.
Interesting. I really find it quite interesting, and obviously each bow is going to be different for every single person that shoots them.
Absolutely.
Some people say that some brands are definitely like just well marketed, for instance, and I'm like, well, is it well marketed or is it not set up right for you? Because I think all of them, they all have the same capabilities to some extent.
Absolutely.
But then each one's going to feel slightly different for each user, I think.
Yeah.
Like we had a Sparky come out here the other day when we got out here. The electrical wasn't working, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got an what did you get?
He said a PSE and a
the
Matthews.
Evo. Yeah, he got a PSE Evo, and he's like, yeah, it was good marketing. They definitely got me on that because John Dudley jumped across. I'm like, it's obviously also a good bow. Like to be able to sell it for that much and be able to do the top of the line for PSE for a company that is still absolutely crushing it. Like they're obviously still a great bow. It just might not be the right bow for you.
That's right. I'd shot. I think I shot an Evo not long ago. Mate Scotty.
Yep.
From out west there, he's got a. I'm pretty sure it's an Evo, and I shot it, and it was quite a lovely bow to shoot.
Yeah.
Long axle to axle long or not?
Yeah, I think it was. I'm not sure if it was a 31 or.
Yeah, 31 or 33 or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It was. But yeah, it was a comfortable bow. I've always found though that the slower, more forgiving bows are much more shootable. So like back, I used to shoot an Elite Synergy.
Yep.
It was probably still to this day the best bow I've ever shot.
Yep.
Like I probably should have held on to them. Like they're unbelievably good to shoot.
Forgiving.
They're not fast by any means. Like
but forgiving, yeah.
So forgiving and just so easy to shoot, man. Like I've never shot anything that I could shoot as well with.
Yeah, it's interesting. No wonder, like, because the speed, essentially, if you have any wrong movements in your shot process, like, or just like a little
speed will show that
exactly
every time. And same with the short, like the brace.
Yep.
Like if you're shooting a very short brace with the compound, like your speed bows,
yep.
the littlest bit of hand torque, you're gonna see it in your arrow flight. Whereas, like the Elite Synergy and that, they had quite a long brace height.
Yeah.
They're just super forgiving bows.
Do you run a quiverizer like Matty?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Actually, I found that was pretty different. I went from a light bow to the Elite Cure. It's not a heavy bow at all, but it was heavier than the carbon bow that I was running. And having the quiverizer made it lighter in a sense. Like it's not, but it just made it more balanced.
The balance point
so
changed,
it made it just so much better to hold, and I really like that. And ever since I've been sold, I'm like, yep, quiveriser's good for me.
Because the weight's at the front of your bow.
Exactly.
Like whereas if you got I used to run a tight spot for a lot of years.
Yep.
And all the weight was on the side of the bow, and then you sort of had to count. You had to get counterweights off it and everything to balance out. With the quiverizer, I found that your sight sitting on one side of your riser can be quite heavy, and the quiverizer having your arrow sitting to the other side of the riser, like I feel like it balances out much better.
Yep.
Like there's heaps less weight on your bow overall.
Definitely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be evident when it's not drawn, but when you draw the bow, that's when
you notice it the most.
Yeah, because you got that. You've got a rear fulcrum, and then you've got your hand fulcrum, and then you've got that forward balance point.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure it all matches up to make it stable.
So you got a 70-pound. Do you Matthews a 70-pound as well, or have you jacked up? But yeah. And do you know what's your arrow weight at the moment?
I'm actually not quite sure, to be honest. I haven't weighed an arrow up in a long time.
Play with it too much?
Yeah, I don't. I just
sort of shoots.
Yeah, like I just tune it, cut my arrow down, tune it up, and that setup I'll stick with. Like once I've found a setup that works for me, that's it. I don't get into, in all the years I've done archery, I don't get into that fine print.
I'm the same. I'm not really much of a tinkerer too much.
I don't muck around with gear too much.
I enjoy hunting. I don't enjoy that side too much. Like I'm interested in it, but I'm not going to go do it myself. I'd prefer to take it to someone like Summers.
I'm the same, mate. And even to this day, as much bow hunting as I've done and as much mucking around with bows I've done, like I'll still, if I've got any issues with the bow, I'll send it straight down to the boys at Newcastle. Straight down there, let Jack work on my bow.
Yep.
And that's it. Like I don't muck around with it at all. If it needs tuning, it'll go to Jack.
It's easy. At least it's like... Yeah, it's just good having someone you trust. You can send it to them.
And it might sound hopeless on my behalf.
I don't think so. But also, if you don't have a bow press, you don't have the things to be able to do it.
That's right.
There's a couple of grand to lay that out and have your bow press and whatever there. So,
and I honestly don't think I'm capable of doing the job that those boys can do.
Yeah.
They get that bow Mickey Mouse.
Definitely.
Yeah, I want it. So that's how it is. But with the arrow setup, like I'll find a setup that works for me.
Yep.
The bow will be tuned up to that setup, and I'll run with that for as long as I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I've pretty much been the exact same. I've only just changed a few things around recently, and I've liked it. Like, this is the first time I've gone on with a few changes, and it's been great.
Yeah, and what are them changes?
Just, I went from the pilot cuts. No, I've changed between pilot cuts and the Zots quite a lot, but I went to pilot cuts with the bleeder blades. I never really rolled them at all.
Yeah.
I also went with the easy vanes. I used to have a three vein with a wrap. I got rid of the wrap and the vanes. I had the big bolt vanes, big long suckers with the shield cut. It was actually when I was shooting with Dylan at his place, we were doing big bomb shots. We were doing 70 meter shots, and you could hear my arrow compared to his. My arrow is like
Dead set.
It was like a full noise as it would go, and his are just like you could barely.
What was he
barely hear
shooting?
him. He was using the easy veins.
Oh, right.
So complete game changer. I've recently gone to easy veins in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I promise you right now, I will not fletch an arrow again.
That's so simple, right?
They're
Just
so cool, mate.
done.
Like, you can do a dozen arrows in
Yeah.
under 10 minutes.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like you said, super quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so durable. Like you can slam like a shaft straight through a big boar shoulders.
Yeah.
And those easel like they're fully intact, ready
Yeah.
to go again.
Yep.
All right. So I'm obviously jealous because it takes me 5 minutes between feathers. And then even then sometimes if it's like winter, the glue doesn't set and the bloody feather shifts and you got to strip the damn thing off and
See, when I was shooting stick, I didn't use feathers.
Yeah.
I used feathers
What?
for a little bit. I went
use veins.
to the trad vein.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've never tried
Double
them.
A trad vein.
Yeah.
They're unreal, mate.
What-
Absolutely unreal.
What
What are
about
they?
when you get a pass through? Like the other day, that arrow was just RS. Like it's just sitting behind us there.
No,
Yeah.
like with the trad vein, it's like any other vein, but super soft. Like literally with the
So it
pass through,
moves
you just
around.
rinse it off and it is sweet to go again.
Oh, stop. All right.
Oh,
Might have
look
to.
out.
They're
All right.
really good, and
Adam.
that was
Okay.
another thing that Jack put me on to down. Jack
All
from
right,
Bowhunting
all right.
only, like he said, give the trad veins a go,
Yeah.
and I was skeptical. I'd always shot feathers, and as soon as I put them through their paces, that was it for me. I was just stuck on trad veins.
I
That's
thought
interesting.
Spinksy didn't like him. I thought he rubbished him, but I'll give him a shot.
No, this would be Jack Creek that I went through.
Oh, yeah, Roger. Yeah, okay.
I think Spinksy still uses feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Spinksy's very old school too. Like he sticks with what he knows. Like he's been in the trad game for a long time.
I just found it interesting because you shot your arrow through a pig this weekend, and that arrow just became a voided arrow for the weekend.
Yeah, those
I'm like, that's
feathers are
frustrating.
rat shit. Look,
Yeah.
I'll grab it now and show you, but
Is
I mean, you've
that
seen it
always
before,
the
you've shot
case with feathers? Like they're done once you shoot them through an animal?
It's not really. Like when I was shooting feathers, like you'd wash it out, and then
Yeah.
the best way to heal a feather is with steam.
Yeah, actually, I've
So
heard
if you
that.
get a feather that's all bloody, you wash the blood out of the feather, and then turn the kettle on
Yeah.
and run that feather over the steam of the kettle.
And
do you,
all the little hooks are like hook back up like Velcro.
Yeah,
sort
man,
of
and
thing.
you watch that feather form back to.
so you don't
almost-
like use your fingers to run along it or anything. You just
No,
run it over the
just
top.
run it over that steam, and eventually it'll settle itself back to where it was.
Yeah.
For the most part, generally that's what will happen, and occasionally like you'll get one that's just too far gone.
Yeah, just strip it and put a new one on. But
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I went to trad vein simply so I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And then another big issue was hunting with the stick in the rain.
weather, yeah.
Like you get it, like if it starts raining, that's it.
You're
And
done.
like anyone that
Why?
shoots
Because of the
trad knows that you
feathers?
try and shoot a trad bow
Yeah, with a fixed blade broadhead.
with a fixed blade broadhead with wet feathers. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a sideshow.
What happens? It just goes all wonky.
Yeah,
Big
like I said to
woeful
you
shot.
yesterday, I just shot I shot that arrow that's just like the feathers are munted because it got all blood through them because like it was I just rubbed dirt all over it and then cleaned the broadhead off so it wouldn't stick dirt in my quiver. But yeah, when I got back here, it was dry. It's just it's basically spikes sticking off now. But I thought just out of curiosity, Matty was having a nap and I thought I'd just fling some arrows out on the Reinhardt and I thought I'm going to shoot that one, and it just was like like it wasn't hectic, but it just had a little bit of a
But
kick
that's
and
the same
fishtail.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the same effect that water will do.
Well, because you got no steering on the back.
You're essentially shooting a bare shaft.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
the feathers
So
are
the
wet.
feathers
They
just get too wet and weighed down.
they just lay down.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. You lose the lot.
Yeah, that's
But,
very interesting.
Yeah, trad vein, that just doesn't happen.
So, hot tip I got given on the easy vein was with the gluing process. The issue is that if you glue the whole thing, like you literally glue the whole length of it, apparently they come loose a lot more frequently because I don't know what the science is behind that.
Well,
So-
what do we surmise that
Essentially-
the shaft flex will probably crack all the glue?
all the glue rather than just bits of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I slide my easy vein on
Yep.
to where I want it, and then I run a ring of glue at the top and a ring of glue at the bottom. And if you watch,
Oh, yeah.
when you're doing it, you'll actually see the glue seep.
sneak under.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're like, you can see into the veins are quite clear.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
And you'll
looked at
actually
Matty's.
watch the glue seep from the top ring. It'll seep down.
Do you hold it up right, your arrow?
When
you
I
glue
do
it?
the top, like the top of the vein.
Yep.
I do that first run around the top,
Yep.
and I watch that seep in. And once it's seeped in like that 1/4 inch,
Yep.
then I flip it around and I do the bottom. And the same thing, it'll seep in about
What
a quarter
glue do you
inch.
use?
That's what I was about to ask. Is it
I
Fletch
use
tight?
Loctite.
Loctite
Oh,
406.
Loctite, yeah.
I use Loctite. Everything from my veins right through to my insert outsert side.
Yeah. And
406?
406?
Yeah, man, I use it for everything.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And
right.
never had a drama. A lot of people say, like, you know, it's
Brittle.
It's too hard and it's too brittle.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
brittle, yeah.
I've never had that drama.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
okay.
Like, Loctite lives in the fridge full time for me.
Yeah,
That's all I
yeah,
use.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
I don't get that shit on your fingers and close them.
Oh, you just I end up having so much on my. That was the downside of the easy veins. I had so
Yeah.
much glue on my fingers.
No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
you're doing, you know, you'll do your inserts on your arrows,
Yeah.
and there's like you slowly get a little build up puddle on the ground below your feet,
Yeah.
and like 9 times out of 10, I do it like at night time
Oh, no,
after
you
dinner.
shift your foot.
I've got bare feet, and I go to stand up, and my fucking foot won't come off the ground.
Oh, that's hilarious. I've got a few bow hunting magazines. They all get used as my my arrow making.
Yeah, my missus kills me, mate.
Specs.
I use the coffee table. I use the fucking kitchen floors.
Dude, so I actually got told I just did like a 2 centimeter glue line at the base where I was going to pull the vein to.
Yeah.
And then once I pulled it down, then I just pulled on the top of it just slightly and dropped my 406 in on one side, did it on the other side, just pulled the vein slightly, dropped it in. And yeah, that was perfect. And I did 3 pass-throughs this weekend, no troubles.
I haven't ripped a vein off yet, easy veins, and that's the honest
There you
truth.
go.
I haven't lost an easy vein yet. The worst I've had with them is going through 2 shoulders on a critter. I've, like, torn a bit off.
Mm.
Like, I've had a couple tear,
Yep.
but even then, that doesn't happen very often. Like, I definitely rate them.
Yeah.
Well, Matty effed one up by cutting it, didn't you?
I cut it
your
with
own
my
broadhead.
freaking broadhead.
Yeah.
Like shooting at the target.
No, I don't know. I think I must have just, when I was putting them away or something, I don't know what
Ah.
I've done, but I must have just been playing with it and I've sliced
Nicked
it.
it.
A little bit. Just
Yep.
nicked it just the smallest little bit.
Yep.
Because how do you go getting them off after that?
No, I haven't watched that part of the video yet.
Off the shaft.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
can you?
Stanley knife, right?
So because you only, I only glued the top and the bottom,
Yeah, yeah.
I literally just get a knife and run a
Yep.
slot up them, and
Yep.
they just peel straight off.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
It brings
just
the
one
glue with
whole
it.
Thing.
Yeah, and then you just get
Yeah,
a
right.
bit of sandpaper, rub the bit of glue off,
Oh, deadly.
and
That's
then
there
slide
you
the
go.
one on.
Yeah, they're a game changer. They really are.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like today I tore one
Yep.
quite severely after shooting that boar, and I thought to myself, it would have been handy to have a little tube of super glue and an
Yeah.
extra easy vein in the backpack,
Yep.
Yep.
and I could have fixed that
On
in
the
the
spot.
paddock.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
How many arrows do you go through? Because obviously, how often do you hunt? Is it every weekend just about?
It's a sort of schedule sort of thing. Like I get the kids every second weekend, so
Yep.
like there's every second weekend's out regardless.
But the kids kind of like going and doing it as well.
Yeah,
right?
so like every now and again the kids
They're a
will
bit
come.
young.
Yeah, they are.
But for the most part, like I definitely say that I hunt at least once or twice a fortnight.
Okay. And so pretty much weekends only, or do you get some in after work every
I'll
once in a
get
while?
some in. 'Cause I'm lucky enough to live on a place that I do hunt.
Yep.
So like, if I get an early knock-off,
That's a dream,
Yeah.
dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
mate,
I reckon no.
grab the bow, chuck some camo, and I'm out the back door.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And so, how many arrows you reckon you knock through? Because I've always found, for me, pigs, especially the big pigs, they're always the ones that break my arrows.
Yeah, so I don't. I lose more to long grass than I do breakage.
Yep.
Like, every time you get a pass through, I don't know. I just don't seem to find the arrow too often.
Yep.
This year's probably been the best for arrow retrieval, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of arrows, definitely. I reckon this winter alone, probably, I'm on my 4th dozen now.
Yeah. Wow.
Um,
That's crazy.
yeah, like
'Cause Yeah, that's insane. 4 dozen.
yeah,
It's awesome in
I'm on the
winter.
4th dozen now for the winter. But that's nearly all of them have just been lost to long grass,
Yeah.
or an occasional snapped one.
Dude, that was the other change I made this time around. Is my I've got the laser LED Nox,
Yep.
like that's the actual brand, and we found some of my arrows purely because of that, like in the pretty long grass too.
Yeah, it was the first morning,
Yeah.
Friday
It was
morning,
like under leaf litter
first
and grass and
pig
stuff.
in half an hour, and it was just it was real deep sticks and leaves and crap, and I
Just
thought,
shining
I
through.
figured where it was, and I was walking over and I looked down and just looking perfectly down through the right gap, you see the little red glow, and I was
Colour
like,
of
look at
veins
that.
too, I reckon.
Definitely.
Like,
what do you
like,
roll?
I'm running white,
Yeah,
and
that's
I've
where I
had more
go.
success finding white than what I have anything else.
Really?
Like, I used to run fluoro green all the time because I was mad on fluoro green. I had fluoro green everything on the bow.
Yeah.
And then I was losing them all the time. And then this weekend was a reminder for that. I had a buddy, Chris, up for the weekend, and he was running the fluoro green. And I think he found 2 arrows for the weekend.
Out of how
Really?
many?
And you find white easier?
And I found all mine. And
Yeah.
mine are white. But the fluoro green, like he found 2.
Because I used to run white, and I switched to, I don't even know what do you call it? It's
Maybe
yellow.
like a fluoro
Mine are
yellow.
like a fluoro yellow, but
Yeah.
but the I laugh because I hate pink. I just hate pink, but pink is the easiest colour to see.
I ran pink for
But
a while.
Yeah, I
you
used to
won't
run
see that
white and
anywhere
pink.
in my world. Pink, I hate it.
Yeah, I used to run white and pink, and I honestly find like the pure white, all white works well as well. It works better for me for
finding
finding.
Yeah, right.
this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what it is like because
Because there's a lot of white in the bush.
there is, but
You know,
there's
like-
also it stands out, right?
Yeah.
I find it does too, and especially after a pasture on an animal, like
The red.
Oh,
the
yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
it's easy to spot
So easy to
a
see what you've
blood-soaked
done.
arrow
Yep.
on white vein in grass.
Also
Yeah.
easy to see if you have
What
to
the result
question-
is, yeah.
exactly. If you have to question your shot, you look at your arrow, you're like, oh, that's easy to see.
Yeah.
That's right too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they say the same thing about white wraps, right? That's
Yeah,
what gives you that
definitely.
indicator. Yeah.
definitely.
So what's on the business end of your arrows, Chase?
Broadhead wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a fixed blade, like a 2-blade. I use an extract broadhead.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're what
Extract.
work for me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
You
sort
shot...
of-
sorry, go.
it's a smaller company. It's starting to grow legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always been a big fan of fixed blade head.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever shot a
it's-
3?
It's funny when you have people out in Australia in particular who hunt so much like yourself. Like, have you ever tried the mechanicals at all?
Never.
And just because you don't want to even have to worry about that?
Yeah, I just haven't, and I wouldn't. I just
Yeah.
There's a reason you went to the stick bow. You're like
yeah,
practical and pragmatic, right?
Yeah, I'm just not
Yeah.
there. It's not me, man.
Definitely.
Like, the most I've ever stepped out of my comfort zone with heads is a 3-blade,
Yep.
but I'd love the 3 blades.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What'd you shoot?
I shot Oscut for a long time.
Yeah.
In the 3-blade, and yeah, like, I swore by them.
Yeah.
They were just, I don't know. I just thought they were a really good combination, especially with big boars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. They say that that's good on bears. 3 blades.
3-blade.
You know?
It's just that bigger. It's just a wound channel that can't close.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a little bit like a single bevel head. Like, it's a wound channel that's harder to close. But yeah, like, obviously the more blade you got there,
Yeah.
3 and 4 blades. You know, some people use a 4-blade, and
Yeah.
that's not going to seal.
Yeah.
And it's much the same with a 3-blade.
Yeah,
Well, I
you
mean-
talk to a surgeon and they reckon the worst thing they need to stitch up is like a 3-way cut. You know, like a knife wound is,
Definitely.
you know, something that they can stitch up.
Absolutely.
But
Until
a
they have to
3-way
stitch
thing,
up
Yeah.
a hand with an arrow through it. I'm sure that would be pretty horrible.
Is that what we're doing after this?
No, fuck no. I saw the same thing when I went with the Cayugas with the bleeders in this weekend. So essentially it's a 4-blade arrow, right? Oh, sorry, broadhead.
Yep.
And literally critters were not moving. Like I was hitting them, they were going 10
Yeah,
meters
yeah.
max sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? It's pretty
Absolutely.
crazy to see.
They call them bleeders for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that wound can't.
No, it's
They
not going to
can't
change.
seal.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You're going to get good blood trail straight. And there's just
Yeah.
there's heaps more cut there.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. More surface area.
And it's funny because obviously that's where the mechanical people would say like, oh, but mechanical, you get such a big wound channel. But it's like I've heard of way too many horror stories with it. I just don't trust it. I'm not even going to bother. And you hear of all the guys that hunt in Australia, or most of the guys that hunt in Australia, that all hunt with a fixed blade. So I was like, well,
Yeah,
it's a
hate me
trusted process.
for saying this. I don't care, but I think it's just lazy.
What?
Because you don't have to tune. You got a field point basically on the end with a mechanical.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
they are. They're identical to a field point.
Yeah.
But it's just, I wouldn't use them. That's just my personal preference. I wouldn't judge anyone that does use them too.
Definitely. It's another tool, right?
It is, yeah. But if I was hunting beside someone with a mechanical and we were chasing big boars, I reckon I'd feel pretty uneasy.
Yeah. That would be the good test, right? A big boar with a big fighting pad with a mechanical.
Yeah, and like, let's be honest, it's probably going to kill it. But
yeah, definitely.
like I've seen even the best fixed blades fail
Yeah.
on big critters. Like, and I just feel like if anything's gonna fail, it's probably gonna be a slap together mechanical.
Definitely.
Yeah, if it's 90-degree hit, like it's full broadside, obviously
I think
all that energy is going to impart. But if it's a like a quarter and on or away shot, yeah, and your arrow's kind of going to flex on the way in, you're going to lose a bit of energy from that, the oscillation of the arrow when it hits. So that's not going to impart the force that the mechanical needs. I don't know.
I just don't think that the mechanical head is designed. I don't think them blades can stay open through thick fighting pad, like inch and a half
followed
fighting
by
pad,
ribs, followed by
without
All that
folding
drag.
over.
Yeah, there's all that drag.
Yeah, and heavy bone.
yeah,
Like they're gonna fold. Those blades are gonna fail.
definitely.
Like
I'll be honest, I haven't even seen one, but like, are they super thin bloody
They are.
steel?
It's like a
razor blade steel.
Yeah, literally, it's like
essentially like a razor blade. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'd shave your face with. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the
medical blade type thing.
Oh, surgical blade.
Surgical blade,
yeah,
right.
man, it's much like that.
Yeah, okay.
But the Bowmar, have you seen the Bowmars from America?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I know who it is, but yeah.
Yeah, they've just brought a new head out. I seen it just online. the
Yeah,
other
right.
night, and it's a new mechanical, and they've designed it that it actually folds itself back in when it hits heavy bone and stuff.
What?
But then it'll reopen once it goes through the bone. But I was thinking in, heavy muscle and meat now, I can't see that blade just opening itself back up.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
that's
how's it going to know the
interesting
difference?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I don't.
yeah,
I
that's
just think
an odd thing.
fixed blades, mate. They are what they are. They're there and they work.
How do you
Yeah.
test that as well? Like, I
That's
guess you've got
right, like
silicon with some
yeah.
bone in it, with some silicon or something. But
Yeah, like a ballistic gel with
Yeah.
bone and then more ballistic
Yeah.
gel.
yeah,
Nothing replicates an animal.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you can't really get internal looks on that unless you chop it up. But yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So, in regards to like the mountain boars, back to that side of things, what's like for you? Is it kind of just the land provides them for you, so you just you're always there, they're going to be there, or what's kind of the biggest thing for you? Obviously, they've got their characteristics of the places they like to go. I've only ever hunted them on 2 different blocks, and essentially they're always trying to get to the sun early in the morning in the winters to kind of thaw out a little bit, get some food. Is that pretty much typical for most of them?
It is, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest draw card for chasing boars, and like it's straight out, it's females. So like there's minimal sows get shot on the blocks. Like very high population of sows. Like, and you'll see if you come back down in a few weeks or whatever.
Yep.
And we go for a hunt, you'll see the sow populations through the roof.
Yeah, wow.
Like yeah. If I take someone out and they hadn't shot many pigs, like I'll say get into them
Yep.
a little bit, but. Yeah,
You
there's
don't,
the
tell,
sow population.
you don't tell the farmer that, though, do you, Jason?
Of course not.
Most of the farmers, believe it or not, are cluier than what you think. They know what
Yeah.
you're all about as a
Definitely.
farmer.
Yeah.
They know you're not there to just wipe them out.
You got a bow. You're not
Yeah.
going to wipe anything out.
Yeah.
That's right. But we generally, and I doubt that I'm the only one, that we try and keep as many sows on the ground as we can.
Yeah. Oh, it makes
Um,
sense, right? Because that's what especially once they're on heat. And
That's
they're on
right.
heat. How long they cycle? Like every 3 months or something, don't they?
Yeah, they sold quite frequently.
Once they've had their litter.
They have their main cycle periods. Like a lot of people will say, I can't wait for winter time, rutting boars, etc., etc. I don't believe the dead of winter is the best time for rutting boars.
Mate, I heard it in April during the rut.
Yeah, man.
I was
So when
walking
the
up
deer
hill.
are rutting?
Yeah. Yep.
That's when the boars are running. I've always found like mid to the end of May
Yep.
is like really well. Like, it's the best. Like I see the best rut in action in May.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was literally on the hills walking up towards this. I called him Frank the Tank. This deer I had a little battle with all rut. And there was a boar down the bottom of the hill running, and you could just hear him going and going and going. I'm like, oh my God, like, do I go down and quickly try it? I'm like, I don't know.
You know what Jace would have done?
He would have gone
And that's the
before.
situation you put in, mate. Like,
I literally
you're
was.
rocking a hard place.
Yeah, and I went for Frank the Tank and stuffed it. But it was because it was raining. It was late in the morning. I thought he was going to shut up. So I'm like, I got to get to him. I got to get eyes on him before I do. And by the time I found Frank the Tank, my boar had already shut up. So yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, they cycle they cycle in the dead of summer,
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of summer. You'll have sows on and the boars will be running. Like it's just how it works. Like this weekend, for instance, like it was like we had 20-degree days.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it was out this side.
25, I think was the worst.
Yeah,
it got to.
and really hot, like
Hot, yeah.
uncomfortably hot.
Yeah, it felt
Yep.
hot.
And all weekend, like I had Boars rutting. Like, yeah, Chris.
I was waiting for them all weekend. We couldn't. We heard one lot, and there was while they were betting up.
Yeah, and that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
Like we got out, like we fished yesterday morning, Chris and I, and then we got out. We didn't get in the paddock till just after lunch yesterday, Arvo.
Yep.
And within the first 5 minutes, we had Boars rutting.
Mm.
It was
Nice.
like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
25 degrees, and but yeah, the wind was pretty shit, and it was lost opportunity.
Yep.
But then we cruised through the Arvo a bit longer, and I ended up shooting a boar that was hanging off a sow, and then we poked on a little bit. It was getting towards dark, and yeah, like a warm day, and there's more sows on,
Yep.
and yeah, Chris ended up shooting like his personal best boar
How good.
for the weekend, and it was
Nice.
once again it was rutting, and then today, for instance, we shot another couple of boars, and they were all rutting.
Yeah.
In-
And are you chasing them like through drainage lines? Are you on the top of ridges? Are you in the thick stuff? Where are you finding them?
So we generally pick them up from up high, like we'll be up high,
Yeah.
and 9 times out of 10 the pigs are down low.
Yeah.
So we use
Glass
them
'em.
high spots for glassing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the noise travels a lot off the flat
Definitely,
country. So
yeah.
the higher, I always find that if you're up high, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And you just sort of locate everything a bit better.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything we've found's been up high.
Yeah.
hasn't
Once
it?
again, because of
Yeah.
the pressure, right?
Yeah. Which is the only place that vegetation is, I guess. So.
Yeah. So a typical day of hunting for you, do you start in the morning, just go all day long? What's it look like?
Yeah, so through the winter time, I like to try and make the most of it. So
Yep.
get in the paddock just before sunrise, and not getting back to that vehicle until that sun's gone down.
Yeah, wow.
So
And action most of the day in winter?
most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a few weekends this winter where it's been pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
There's been weekends. There's been heaps of weekends this winter where I've gone home with nothing.
Yeah.
Like it just hasn't happened. And then other weekends, there's plenty of action.
They're the ones that make you come back, right? The
That's
ones where
right.
you don't get the action.
And it's normally the weekends that you're not that amped for. You're not expecting that much, where it really comes together.
Yep.
Like this weekend, for instance, like I wasn't expecting much. I knew it was going to be hot,
Mm.
Yeah.
but it ended up being an absolute cracking weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And obviously that comes a lot into the cycling of the females as well then.
That's right, and that was the last thing I expected with the warm weather.
Yeah.
Like it just got really hot really quick this weekend. I just thought it's going to be very average hunting.
Mm.
We're going to have to grind it out. But yeah, it all fell into place. So like, I reckon we would have, there would have been, we would have seen at least 15 shooter boars this weekend,
Yeah, wow.
and we shot 6 of them. So
Yep.
That's good odds.
Yeah, definitely. You said something just the other day that I thought was pretty interesting about you've pretty much mainly done solo hunting, and not that you're getting sick of it, but you've started hunting with friends a lot more recently, and how much you've been enjoying that mateship. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so like for a long time now, I've done a lot of my hunting by myself,
Yep.
and I don't know why that. I can't really tell you why.
Yeah.
I think it really comes down to like I've just always clammed up a lot when it comes to hunting. I've never been too keen to share it with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much that I'm selfish with it. It's more,
You just know how to do it yourself. You
yeah,
wanna go
like
do
it's my
easier.
time, man.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
nowadays, and especially in the last few years, I've used hunting as like an escape. Like
Definitely.
I use it a lot for my mental health.
Yep.
So I could be having a really shit time. I hit the hills for a day and I come home a brand new man. So
Definitely.
Mm.
yeah, it's my time, so I enjoy it by myself. The other part comes down to trust, like who you can take with you.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like look, the last 12 months I've started sort of taking more people with me,
Yep.
and I have enjoyed it. Like I enjoy taking people.
Definitely.
Like I've created friendships, and yeah, it's just been a good time. It's good, like a good series of events will happen over a weekend, and you got someone to celebrate with.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's quite. It's interesting because I do a lot of hunting by myself too. But then you're hunting with mates, and not that it's not enjoyable by yourself and it's not memorable by yourself, but it's almost like you've got a lot more memories that happen when you're with mates because you have the laughter going on all weekend. You've got the banter and whatever else. It's just
Absolutely.
Yeah.
get
You
to
need
see.
You need someone there to see you eat shit when you fall off the fence.
I landed flat on my belly today.
We've climbed over 1,000 fences this weekend or this long weekend, and I'm like, right, be super quiet over this fence. The first time I've said it, his foot gets caught and he just goes fucking splat on him. Like he couldn't have landed more flat on his face than he could. Oh man,
Exactly. It wouldn't have been as funny if I didn't have someone there to watch it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with that, you were talking about the trust side of things. I think that's massive because we were talking about before about getting access, and you were saying here in general, and I think it's just in general trying to get access is tough, right? Like most places, you can't just walk up and knock on the door. It's not going to be well accepted. What's kind of been some of the best ways for you for getting access?
Yeah, like we spoke about before, it's definitely who you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get a foot in the
Network.
door. Yeah, you get like it can be through work, it can be through friends, it can be through family. But my biggest thing over the years has been normally through one contact. Mm-hmm. You get one good contact and it can lead to more. Like in this area in particular, it started off with just gaining access to one place, to a well-known farmer.
Yep.
And that farmer's pretty much done all the work for me since.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mate, that's honestly, that's been like my work. I essentially transitioned my career a few years ago.
Yep.
And building a good network is what's made my business thrive. Like, it's crazy just to see how that's worked. And then realistically, for me, hunting is the same thing. Like, I've built a network of people that invited me to go hunting with them, and all of a sudden I've got access to all these different places. It's been absolutely incredible. It's like something I'm very grateful for. But it's literally just from being a good people to good people, essentially you start to get good access because of it. It's pretty crazy. Yep. It's not crazy at all. It's like, it makes sense. Because you hear people knocking on doors and just doing silly things. Not that knocking on doors is a silly thing, but you hear people doing silly things. And that's where I come back to the trust side of things. Like, you take someone out into your block that you've worked incredibly hard for and they do something silly, like shoot cattle or something like that, and all of a sudden everything's gone. Everyone from the block's gone. And that's where, A, hunting gets a bad name, B, where people start to get pissed off with people and want to lock up and not help or bring anyone on a block with them. And it's understandable. It's like, I get why you wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, my biggest thing's been just you take someone out. I've always had that paranoia of I take someone into a general area and they're gonna go back looking for places in that same area.
Yeah, yeah.
And just sort of close in on where I am.
Yeah.
It's just been, it might sound selfish, but you know, a lot of hard work goes into keeping them places and gaining them places, and I don't want to see it go to crap because I took the wrong person there.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you hear of a lot of people getting burnt in the industry, right? Like,
absolutely.
It happens a lot. More probably, unfortunately, more than it should.
More than what you know, yeah. I've heard, a lot of things have happened this year, I think, with a lot of fellas, and they've been burnt, and you hear about it all the time, and a lot of the time, it's someone very close to them that does it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's sort of hard to believe when you first hear it. You think, nah, surely not, but it does happen. You've got to be careful.
You do, and I think it's also just a reminder of, like, look after your mates with it, but also, look after the cocky. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Look after yourself.
Yeah, that too, right?
That's where it comes down to.
Yeah. And we were talking about just in general the changes of season. We kind of, you in particular, we had the drought, and before that was kind of the last rut that you had, really, like 2018, you said.
Yeah, that was the last time I chased deer seriously, yeah.
And then we had the drought, which pretty much kind of not ruined it, but transitioned the lay of where a lot of critters were here.
That's right. So it shifted things around. So that when the drought come, it took animals out of some locations and put them into others.
Mm.
So, yeah, before the drought, there was areas that you wouldn't see deer in.
Yep.
And then the drought come along. And then after the drought had been, you'd go to places where there were deer. They weren't there no longer. But they were where they weren't before.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's funny how it works. And
I think it is odd.
Comes down to them. They were moving looking for food and water.
Yes, yep.
And they'd found where the food and water was.
But strangely, they wouldn't move back, like, especially if we were talking about, for instance, if they go to their home location or whatever it is. Yep. Like, if they were meant to return to where they're born, like, that's obviously not where they're born, so do they return eventually? No. Like, I'm intrigued.
They're like Mate, everything's the same. Like
They just want to live.
You think about us. If we went hungry,
Yeah,
we had no food. We're going to go where the food is.
definitely.
Like, yeah.
And then now, like, it's dry out here. It's very dry out here.
It is getting quite dry, yeah.
I don't know. Like, what are water sources like in general? Like, are farmers complaining about the water yet?
No, I haven't heard a lot about the water yet.
Yeah.
I think it'll come. It's more feed. So, like, there's a lot of farmers around this area at the moment. They're starting to get cattle feeders going.
Yeah.
They're starting to get their silos full.
Mm-hmm.
They all know what's coming. I think we all do. Like, it's Australia. We run off
gonna
drought
happen.
and flood.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah, it's clear to the eye that the drought is coming again.
Yeah.
Look, with any luck, it doesn't. Like, I hope Mother Nature breaks and we get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see, but I think it's inevitable that...
We're in for
we're in for another dry one.
Yep.
But, some of this country, we ought to be grateful for it. Like, some of this country holds a lot of natural spring country. Like,
Definitely.
yeah. One of the places I hunt, it's full of natural springs.
That's
so
amazing.
even in the dead of the drought that we'd gone through a couple of years ago,
Yep.
there was always water.
Oh, that's so good.
So there was no food, that's for sure.
Yep.
It was dirt, mate. Like, it looked horrible, but there was always water.
So even when the spring was coming out, it was complete just mud, essentially.
Yeah, so like what cattle were left and
Or
what
just
critters
straight
were getting
over it.
around, they were just smashing it out. So there was no room there for grass to grow, but there was constant water.
And it's pretty interesting with obviously a drought, feed gets low, which means that all of these critters become more of a problem for the farmer, and more so that they want them gone.
Yeah,
gone.
so they become more concentrated in certain areas. Like with kangaroos, for instance, one of the natives, when the drought comes around, kangaroos will batch up heavily. So, like, in dry times, kangaroos will gather into mobs of hundreds.
They go play proportions. You always hear about
and
it, right?
look for feed. And, like, wild animals are much the same. Like your pigs and stuff. Like,
Yeah, wow. They start to batch up more.
yeah, and in the drought conditions, people are running cattle feeders and stuff.
They're going straight for that.
Absolutely. Like, there's a feedlot not far from down here.
Yep.
And in the drought, they reckon you could drive up to that in the middle of the day and there'd be 200 pigs running off it.
What?
In the middle of the day. Like, it was just... everything was that hungry.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It really shows what's really there.
Yeah.
Sure makes it easy if the chiller price is good.
Yeah.
A bit of lead behind the ear.
That's right. Only that the animals don't really weigh too well.
Yeah, of course. It's all
Like in the drought, like
underfed.
hunting towards the end of the drought, like you'd shoot cracker boars with big teeth, and they were so skinny.
Skeleton.
They had no weight to them. But then in saying that, every now and again you'd shoot like a thumping big pig in the middle of the drought when there hadn't been food on the ground for a long time, and you wonder how they kept the weight.
You wonder if that's one that's been going to the feedlots, right?
Feed lots of other dead animals.
Yeah, carrion. Yeah.
A lot of them
Carrot
were
becomes
like,
a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like anyone that knows pigs know they eat anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they're the
Everything,
first one
anything.
into a dead carcass.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You only have to see that Snatch movie. Old brick top feeding,
everything but the teeth.
feeding those people. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. You got to collect the teeth after.
Yeah.
Apart from the foxes, right? They'll often get into a dead critter first. Foxes and the birds. And that leads me on to, we were talking about
Good
foxes.
segue, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Because we went and focused our energy on foxes a fair bit today, and I missed a fox at 4 meters. I full panicked on it. Like, it came running in, and I was like, do I draw, do I not? And I kind of left it a little bit late. And I drew back just right at the very last minute. Not the last minute. I drew back, and I had enough time to kind of find it, but I couldn't see it in my peep to start with. So I was like kind of searching, and I looked outside of my peep so I could see where the actual fox was. Eventually got eyes on. Pretty much I could see everything. All of my pins were on the fox, and so I just moved my 20 down slightly and then shot. And it went directly underneath and gave him a little graze on his chest, I think, pretty much. And he jumped off and he ran away. I was like, God.
He came racing in, Jason.
Damn it. He came running
came
fast. He was
racing
running
in.
fast. But I was like,
And
it was 4 meter shot and I freaking missed it. I was spewing. Absolutely. I'm
I
still
called
kicking myself.
for you to draw, but you were like zen focused and didn't hear a word. And then, and then I was like,
I couldn't see
I did the crow call to try and stop it.
Yeah,
'Cause
with fox, I think the biggest thing with foxes is it's like you draw early on them because they do scream in.
Yeah.
And you want that fox, you want that peep sight and pins on him the whole time. So you've got time to follow him.
Yeah.
Because when he comes in, like sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll run straight through you. Like you
Yeah.
can't stop them.
Well, I thought he was going to. He just wasn't.
Some
stopping.
dudes have had them run up their chest like they're a log, you know.
Yeah, man. Like they don't stop when they're hot on something. Like they just screaming.
Go. Yeah. Yeah, and so I literally, and it was all a panic. And once I actually found him in my peep, I was like, oh, there he is, boom. And it just all happened like that, and it was gone. I was like, oh.
In your defense, they're a small animal.
Yeah, I don't need any defense, I don't think. I've seen a lot of people kill
front
foxes.
on, their chest, their chest is pretty small.
And also what we said about earlier, like at almost point blank, you should be using a 30 pin. It makes no sense to the head, like.
No,
why would you use
30 is so far out?
But at point blank, 30 is where it's at, like
because it's coming out from a lower point.
Yeah, the trajectory of the arrow at point blank, the 30 pin's sort of that flat spot.
Yeah,
compared to your 20 pin, like it makes sense to use a 20 pin, but it doesn't.
So I was saying we should have had this conversation last night instead of today. It might have worked out for me. But do you, when you go calling foxes, because they're obviously pretty ripe in this sort of area in general, do you what whistle do you use, or do you use what's the call you use?
Mate, to be honest with you, I don't chase foxes much at all.
Okay.
Absolutely not. But if I do chase them, I use a silver fox whistle.
Yep.
Which is more of a rasp style.
Yep.
And I find that works in this area
pretty well. Yep.
Like quite a few years ago, there was a stage where I chased foxes all the time. They were super fun. Yeah. And even now, I reckon if I gave it a red hot crack, I'd find that spark for them again.
Definitely.
But yeah, that rasp style of whistle, definitely in this area. I think it's more because it's more like it's not so much like a rabbit, like a button whistle. Yeah. We don't have a lot of rabbits up here. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, we haven't seen any.
No, because I use a silver. Look, I know Ron Keno who makes them.
Yep.
Yep, and hunted with him 12 years ago when I first met him, and bought one of his whistles. But we used Matty's, what do you call it?
A squawker.
Oh, the fucking predator.
What does Benny Fensom call it?
Yeah, Benny Fensom.
Why are you wanking your hand like that?
I've seen Benny's stories. He loves them.
Yeah.
I can't stand the fucking things though, because when they're in your backpack, they'll be fucking squawking all day.
So I've got in my pocket.
Actually, I saw how Benny holds his, and he ties it up, and I think he puts like a
so it's compressed
around, so it's compressed.
Yeah, right.
And so I've got a perfect little pocket on my new pack, and I've just put it in that. It just sits in there perfectly.
Yeah, it's tied in
so
there.
you don't hear it, but. The thing is, it's so noisy, right? Like the whistle's loud, but that's like next level.
Yeah, I already got tinnitus, so I was wearing hearing protection every time. You get old, you get smart.
I'm trying to say stuff to Adam, he couldn't hear me. I'm like, Adam. God damn it!
Chuck a rock in my head.
But yeah, it was working. They were screaming on him for it.
Yeah, they liked it. I got an Emmy award, didn't I?
You did. You brought in lots.
Yeah. Because he handed it to me. Yesterday was the first time I tried it.
Yeah.
And it's some ludicrous harpsichord with a reed in it, and then I started to get the feel for it. So I was like pulling it right out, extended, and then sort of just squeezing the end of it and collapsing it a bit. So it just sounded like, because you want to make it realistic. So it sounded like some like little duck or something that's fallen out of its nest and it's sort of calling for its mum, and then it's like something's grabbed it and it's squealing for its life, you know.
Yeah, you think about a small animal, they're not going to have a full breath like a.
Yeah, no long chords.
Yeah, going to have yeah.
No.
Short, sharp little stuff.
Yeah, they were definitely interested.
Definitely.
And then this morning we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, yeah, with the whistle, I've had even kangaroos and stuff come into it. And then, that stupid squawker thing, on our last... Oh, no, that was over the back here. It was our last stand on over the back here. This wallaroo came in.
It was like
roaring in.
But there was two of them, right? I think... Do you know what the wallaroos are? Is one like a grey one,
those real dark,
and a real dark one.
The little grey one,
with
that that light spot on the chest and tail. That's the female.
The female, yeah. I thought.
And the big dark fellow. That's obviously.
So she must have been the heat because he was right on her tail. Everywhere he went, everywhere she went, he was.
They're chalk and cheese, that pair.
Yeah, so normally when you see a female, they'll always have a male on them.
Oh, okay.
They sort of partner up, a bit like hares, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they've always got a partner.
That
seems that
interesting.
way.
Yeah. Because, she was coming in, like, she heard the sound, and she starts making noises as she's jumping, just running in, jumping. I'm like, what the heck?
Maybe she's just maternal then.
I don't know how many times I've had wallaroos.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fucking getting excited and think there's a
The
big
pig.
boar fucking foaming at the mouth coming in, but it's just
Oh.
a big wallaroo walks out.
Yeah.
Well, they make some pretty unique noises.
Definitely.
Makes you
It's
think
so dark.
Yeah.
I've never seen them like that.
That's interesting that the hares pair up. I don't think I'd heard that before.
Hares?
Yeah.
So they pair up hardcore. Like
It's for lifers or something, is it?
they're lifers. So
wow.
you're driving along the road and there's two hares on the road.
Yeah.
And you run one
squash
over.
one.
That other hare's alone for the rest of its life. They will never pair up with another one.
Galahs
Dude.
are like that too.
Galahs are exactly the same.
Yeah.
I shot a hare once, and there was two of them, and it came back, and so I shot the other one. So I'd kill them both, so I don't feel so bad.
Mercy killing.
No, that's right.
Mercy killing.
And some people take it so seriously, like, and each for their own. But the place I was hunting a few years ago, he said to me, "If you shoot a hare, you're off."
Wow.
Wow.
Mate, he loved them.
No
Wow.
way.
He loved.
Was
the
he
hares.
English?
No, mate, he was an Aussie,
Yeah, right.
and he couldn't give a fuck about anything else. You could shoot whatever you wanted, but
Just not the
you
hares.
shot one of them hares and you were gone.
I think the most impressive thing about a hare for me is that they don't have a den or anything like that. So I think the young'un within 8 weeks can run as fast as its parents because it has to.
So
It's,
do
it's
they
its only defense.
They're born and they can run, obviously, to some extent.
Well, yeah, but within I think it's something quick, like 6 to 8 weeks, they've got to run as fast as their parents because it's their only defense.
So they don't have a den, so where do they sleep? They just...
Logs and grass.
Like logs and just grass. Their
Yeah.
ability to, you can fucking almost step on them and you don't know they're there.
Yeah. They go
wow.
doggo.
Well, they just look like a cow pad on the ground. Like
Yeah.
honestly, you'll nearly walk on
They
them.
flatten their ears right out. And
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember too many times I've seen one before it's jumped out of its nest.
Yeah, yeah. I saw one once that was like speckled. Real interesting. Like
Where?
Where? Up at Gympie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like just in the light, it really shined. I was like,
Wow.
wow, it was pretty, real pretty.
Pretty
Yeah.
tasty.
No, they are tasty. I actually really rate hare.
Yeah.
I've only eaten 2 of them, those 2. Husband and wife, apparently.
I know the wogs. They love them.
Dude, yeah, they were great.
They
Yeah,
pay
yeah,
like
yeah.
the wogs from down Sydney way, and that they'll come up here and they'll pay big money to go into places to shoot hares and that.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
And they'll take
You see,
them
you
all
got
back
heaps of meat off it, eh?
Dude, they're chunky.
Yeah, they're big.
big
they
animals.
are big. They're a big animal.
They
yeah.
make a rabbit look puny. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really do. Jace, what else should we ask you about, mate? What else should we talk about? Is there anything more you want to touch on? We've already been going for close on.
What about a spot of fishing? So what do you catch around?
Oh, that's
here?
right, the cod.
Like
Jesus.
yellow belly as well. Or?
Oh, there is yellows in the area, mate. But yeah, I sort of generally just chase Murray cod. Yeah,
Is it all dam fishing or is it all
it's
creek
all
fishing?
rivers and creeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you break the meter around here, or have you done that? Yeah.
Absolutely, you can. I got 11
Dead.
this season.
Oh, dead set, bro.
Wow.
Probably sound like one of
You're
them
my
dickheads.
hero now.
One of them dickheads with the big head, like, yeah, I've caught fucking
Nah,
11
nah.
meteries, but I legitimately have caught 11 meteries this season.
That's insane.
Wow.
And your lures?
All
Purely?
lures, yep, all lures.
Surfers.
Bit of surface, bit of subsurface.
Yep.
I had big success this year with big soft plastics, 8-inch
Yeah, I saw
plastics.
that.
Yeah, right.
Big
Okay.
like purple ones and stuff.
Paddle
right?
tails, or
Yeah, big like paddle tails. So,
Yep.
so it was like a cast prodigy, they're
yep,
called,
yep.
from Cast Mag. They're a mob up in Queensland, I think. Yeah, they've come out with this prodigy plastic, and like
What
they're-
weight's the jig head on
they're
it?
killers. I run them completely weightless.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I run them with like a treble setup.
Okay.
So I run a couple of splitties and a couple of swivels up through the body of the plastic. To a
Right.
treble on its guts.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And what braid mono? What are you running?
Yeah, so like I run a 30-pound braid,
Yep.
40-pound leader.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's impressive.
It's enough
I
to
didn't know if that would be enough to haul them in, but
It is, in the tight water it is.
yeah. Okay.
They put up.
Because that's what I use for jacks. I use
1
like
meter.
30-pound.
They're heavy. They're a heavy fish.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're the greatest.
They don't
fighting
fight
fish.
that
So they
hard,
just
eh?
pull you down pretty much.
Yeah, they're just a dead weight. Like if you get a big cod and he gets on that, if he gets on the bottom, it is hard work to get him off.
Yep.
But they're not like a barrow or anything that just goes hard as fuck
Yeah,
for
yeah.
20 minutes.
Just
Yeah,
surges. Yeah.
Like you'll knock a cod up quick. If he does have a hard, like if he does go hard, like you'll go hard for like less than a minute, mate, and that's him. He's done. He's coming in for the most part, most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like in saying that, like I've caught cod that have gone hard as all hell.
Yeah.
And you think twice about whether it is a cod, but
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Yeah, pound for pound, a yellow belly fight's harder than a cod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
That's what I found. Yeah.
So what? It's
Nice.
Because they're a big jig, right?
the cod or the lure.
No, the lure.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it? 6 inches or
8 inch.
8 inch?
basically.
Yeah.
8 inches. And so really the only thing that's hitting it is cod, or are you getting smaller stuff hit it as well?
Oh, I've had like cod the same size as a plastic hit 'em.
That's wicked.
Extremely territorial fish.
Okay.
So like and people say that they're a lazy big fish. That's completely false.
Yeah.
Like if a big cod wants to eat your lure, he will do what it takes to eat the lure.
Mm.
Like people say they're very very lazy and you've got to get it right in their face for them to eat it.
Yeah.
That's a load of shit because I've fished really crystal clear water and I've watched them cruise 5-6 metres in to eat the plastic.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Or
right.
surface lure, for instance. They'll be 5-6 metres from that lure,
Yeah.
crystal clear water, and you'll see the fish cruise right in to smack it.
So you never use spinner baits?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'd prefer to use a chatterbait over a spinnerbait,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think everything works.
Here's a question for you. Do you have platypus down here?
Platypus.
Yeah.
Some systems, not here in general.
Yeah.
Because
Because the fucking cod are eating them by the sounds of it. You catch an 11 metre.
there is a lot. There
They'll
is
just
a lot
swallow them.
of platypuses in New South
You
Wales.
would think.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen any around here, no, but they definitely smack a few darks.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
At the back of Tenterfield, I've like where I cut my teeth on goats, I would catch cod around probably 40 centimetres was probably the average. And I think I might have caught a 50, but nothing bigger than that because it's like it dries up
Yep.
a lot of the time. But I seen platypus there and it got me thinking, I'm like, geez, a big cod would just scoop that thing up.
Yeah, wow.
Absolutely.
I would think, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What dictates like a good cod area? Is it obviously you find a fair few meteries? Like what have you kind of looked for?
Mate,
What's
look,
been similar?
Yeah, look, it was a big secret. But, like it's
We'll
got
beep it out.
it's got to the point where it's not a secret anymore. Like a lot of my big fish this year come from a creek system that's fed by a dam.
Okay, yeah,
The
right.
dam's actually like it's a major impoundment in this area
Yeah,
Yep.
right, yep.
that holds a lot of big cod.
Yeah,
So in like flood times,
Yep.
they spill over.
dam rises,
Mm,
runs into a river arm runs into a creek arm.
mm.
Yep.
You know, you get them big fish, they move right up in there.
Mm.
And then when the river recedes,
Mm.
the big fish stay up in there.
Mm.
So, like, for the most part of this start of this season, like, it had really good, quiet water, no one was fishing. But, yeah, it was short-lived.
Yep.
Before you know it, there's, like, 200 blokes there every weekend.
Oh, dead set.
So I went to shit pretty quick. Like, but it's like, we could cruise out there tonight and catch a big fish, no worries at all.
Right, let's
well.
go.
They're there, but they're
You're
just,
laughing like I'm joking.
they get absolutely pumped there now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that spot's done for me. Like, I won't go back there. Like,
Yep.
Saturday morning, I went up to one of the bigger systems. It's just completely wild fish.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
And had the time of my life. And I think the biggest fish we caught was 70 odd.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, nearly every river system and creek system around here will hold
They have
cod.
them. Yeah,
Yep,
wow.
yep.
And so what's the cod season? When to when?
So, like, it's going to shut. I think it
Oh,
shuts on
September, isn't
Thursday.
it? Oh, okay,
And
wow.
it'll open back on December 1st, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pretty
So
sure.
is that December to September every year pretty much?
Yeah, so it's just that enough time for them to put their eggs down and
It's all
Messed up.
catch and release.
for cod.
Yeah.
You can keep cod in
You can.
the legal
Yeah, they
size. I wouldn't.
Mm.
What is the legal size? 50 centimetres.
Mate, I couldn't tell you
Under.
because they all go back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't eat freshwater fish whatsoever. I'll keep the occasional trout.
Yeah.
See, that you catch trout here too.
Yeah, mate, I've actually got a pretty hot spot not far from
Yeah,
here. so
okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Last session I done up here was Chris that I just hunted with the weekend just gone. He come up and we went for a trout sesh. I took him to somewhere where you sort of like might catch 10.
Mhm.
10 sort of trout, that's a good day. But we had a bomber of a day, we got like 30.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's getting better and better.
Rainbows and browns? Or
Just rainbows.
yeah, okay.
And once
And
again,
you using
just on lures or
Yeah,
just
spinners
lures, yeah.
or flies? Yeah.
No, little hard bodies actually.
Yeah, okay.
wow.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep. What, just shallow divers, obviously?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sick. Have you ever fly fished?
I have, mate. I caught a couple of bass on fly
Yeah,
when
nice.
I was younger in the Hunter Valley, but
That's
then,
cool.
yeah, that was pretty short-lived, that experience.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, probably a bit scrubby around here for flicking a fly, but
Yeah, I wouldn't be too keen to try and chuck a fly around where you catch cod here.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Why?
Awesome.
Oh, just the banks are just too, like the vegetation
Yeah.
is too
Gotcha.
thick.
You just do the archer's cast where you just hold the hook, bend the rod, and just flick it out.
Yeah, like a lot of your casts you make in the rivers here, like the vegetation's that thick on the
Yeah.
rivers, like you're doing like little 5 metre flicks at the most.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's tight sort of stuff.
Yep. But they boil up.
Absolutely.
You want any cool cast tricks? I was down at the water's edge the other day. This dude like the old spin around a few times before he throw it every time. That's hilarious.
That's go. I think he's putting a show on for you there.
I'm watching too much YouTube, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
There's this one guy. He's full on with it. He just he's on YouTube. He just knows how to hit every single angle, and he'll just spin it around a few times. Dush, done it.
With a bait caster.
Yeah,
I think it's much the same as traditional archery.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
stick bow, mate. Like
Yeah.
you
An
get
art to
repetitive
it.
enough at something.
Becomes an extension of your hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from when you started talking about how you got your widow and that, and just how it shot well for you. And I'm like, sometimes you get the right bow and it just fits in your hand and it just shoots where you look.
Yeah. Like I had literally no shooting style. Like I had no anchor. It was like throwing a tennis ball.
Yep.
It's probably good to some extent, right? Because I think you can get dictated by a system, and it might not be the right dictation for you.
Absolutely, man. I tried. So I'd done a lot of YouTube to start with traditional, and every time I looked into something new, whether it be fucking string walking or
Oh, God.
gap or whatever, every time I tried something like that, it would completely ruin me.
Yeah.
And it would take me like weeks to reset back into what worked for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, that's it. No more complications.
Yep.
I'm just going to do what I do. And it's much the same as like we were talking about arrow setup earlier.
Yep.
Don't overcomplicate
Just
it.
do what you do.
Whatever works,
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to sit there and fucking go right down to the nitty gritty of everything, like who's got the time for that anyway?
Yeah, that's right.
Like
Yeah.
you work,
Busy world.
most blokes are working 10, 12-hour days.
You've got kids at home,
You got
whatever
kids
else.
at home,
Yeah.
and then when you do have a bit of spare time, you want to be on the mountain.
Exactly right.
Like fucking.
Yeah, that's what Matty and I were saying yesterday about
Yeah, I hadn't
when you
sharpened
find
my-
an arrow recipe that works for you.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
you just
That's it,
don't
mate.
want to
It's dialed
switch,
in.
and then you end up with, 4 left, and you're like, well, they're 4 are good to go. I guess I better get a dozen.
Yeah.
And then you get another dozen, and it's a vicious cycle, and you just don't ever want to change.
My system's that pat. It's down pat that much with arrows that I don't even know how long my arrows are. I use the last arrow in my quiver to stencil
Gauge
the
next.
rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
I literally don't even know how long
Yeah.
my arrows
You
are.
don't
mate.
shoot that last
the
one.
last
ever,
arrow in the
and
quiver.
lose it in the grass.
I use that to text to the next one,
Yeah, awesome.
and then that's it. I make another dozen up off that mark.
Yeah.
Like it's just very.
Yeah, you need to
simple.
put one of those bastards on the mantle. So you never lose the last one, or you'll be
And
screwed.
I have been stuck in that situation before, and that's when I come to full draw in the kitchen and the missus marks it at the front of your ass.
Yeah,
Just to know.
Just get you to put a text mark on there, darling.
yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah.
Well, mate, we appreciate you coming out and joining us in camp here. It's been fun. Been nice to meet you, and appreciate
absolutely,
appreciate
dude.
you making the
Yeah.
time, dude. It's been really cool.
Absolutely, no problem.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you are enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.